sponsored by, I mean, we still call it Facebook. I mean, we call it Facebook. No one calls it X. People call it Twitter, they call it Facebook. They don't call it Meta, they don't call it X. These billionaires think they can impose their bad ideas upon to our society. And that's why everything sucks now, because things don't actually have functionality. They're just like whatever the stock market. It's all hype. The stock market is all hype. I'm just coming out swinging today, okay? We just have to get right into it. The stock market, it's all hype. It's gambling. You look at CNBC or whatever. What's the one that's like the financial channel? Clearly, these people are all on drugs. Like it's who could understand that? It's all these tickers. There's 18 different tickers happening at once. It's a casino. Go to the casino. Look at the big sports betting. It's exactly the same as CNBC, as Jim Cramer. Those people are all just coked up on Prozac, whatever the fuck it is. Elon's on ketamine. It's a big part of his process. See, I mean, he's the epitome of what I'm talking about because it's all hype. As time goes on, people see him make these incredibly dumb mistakes IRL, or they see interviews with him where he just looks like an idiot. The kind of illusion wears off. You know, people believe what they see in the media. I think that's part of why they want to ban TikTok, because TikTok is this kind of more person-to-person kind of village referral system where it's word of mouth, basically, rather than just pass down billionaire Elon Musk, smartest guy in the world, Tesla, best company, going to save the environment. I think what we saw this winter when they couldn't charge these fucking cars, and now they're, you know, it's this, they blow up in horrific ways. You get trapped in it, they explode. People are sort of hopefully going back to a system where they don't just want everything to be a goddamn screen. You know, the Tesla is basically just a big screen. I don't even know. That was like a status symbol for dumb rich guys that wanted to justify their own selfishness and their own greed and their own ideas about themselves. You know, Elon Musk is like, they need these guys because they're all kind of their own little cult leaders of whatever kind of fucking capitalist lie, exploitative business they're in. Trump, Vince McMahon, whoever it is, local, Fred Reichert. He was the car dealer in Columbus, Ohio. It's just, I don't know. It's they try to pass the stuff on us like this is the answer, right? And I think people are starting to question these electric vehicles because the carbon footprint of the fucking car, because it's a part of the global supply chain. They get the fucking batteries from here, and they get this piece from here, and they get the chip from here. That's actually a tremendously massive carbon footprint to make a car from all the different parts of the world, to ship all those fucking parts and shit. So it's like the car was basically a status symbol, and it was like the idea was, oh, this guy's a genius. He's this technology's important for like the future of us getting away from fossil fuels, and that hasn't. You know, the point is not that we want to not solve that problem. We do want to solve that problem. But who thinks that guy's the answer? Whoever thought that guy was the answer? Why? Because he was one of the original shills of PayPal? He bought his way into this stuff. It's just bad. You know, he probably had bought a lot of PR or something, you know, with his parents' money. And just kind of built this. The guy makes me sick. They all make me sick. Zuckerberg, all the billionaire class. I think they are trying to like squeeze us out. Maybe I've just been hyper radicalized by TikTok and I just can't focus on anything else. I mean, the fact that it costs $1,300 a month to live anywhere is hard to overlook. Even if you want to move to like Oklahoma City or something. It's like $1,300 a month for a room that you share in a house with people or something. A studio apartment costs, $2,000 a month. It's like the baseline. It's like that's how much it is in New York. Granted, but like Jesus Christ, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to escape unless you want, live in Camden, New Jersey, in some I don't know, meth lab or something. Uh, so it just feels suffocating. It feels like we have to address these problems, and it's just so in our face. I mean, one of the things constantly, right, people are harping on is the ugliness of the architecture. Anything that they build now sucks because this is the problem, right? No one can find housing. That's why it's so expensive, right? Supply and demand. We all know that's not true. It's bullshit. All these private equity firms are buying up all of the fucking housing because they know that there's money in it. Part of it is there's all this liquidity, right? The US dollar, right? This is something Kuzu Daddy talks about constantly. Mighty petrodollar and the BRICS currency. How they're trying to sort of displace kind of the dollar as the international standard. But in any case, there's all this debt, right? The US borrows all this money from other countries, and we pay them with the dollar, and that money has to go somewhere. Where can they spend that? They spend it here. That's why they buy all this fucking real estate. That's why they own New York. Foreign investment properties overseas. The United States is just an offshore company. It's just an offshore. It's like the Cayman Islands. It's just totally built at this point. It's built for these speed freaks who watch CNBC. They take all of our money, they take all of the wealth that's created, and they gamble with it. And they say, oh, it's Tesla, it's Tesla, it's Tesla. We're buying. Pump more money into this. And it's like, it's all hype. It's all speculation, right? That's hype. Now it's NVIDIA. Oh, it's AI. It's whatever the fuck they want to develop. What's the next thing? I think with digital, they've created a sort of abundance with less, like the abundance of digital can travel everywhere, theoretically. I can make this video, theoretically, anybody on earth could watch it immediately. That is why everything is on the phone now, right? Because it's just like, what's more satisfying than sitting and watching TikTok videos all day, or listening to any song you've ever wanted to listen to, or watching any movie you've ever wanted to watch, or whatever. About the only thing that's behind a paywall is journalism. Nobody's really bootlegging that. Nobody's bootlegging JSTOR like they should be. I've always wanted the JSTOR hookup. Fuck the Netflix password. Give me the JSTOR. Or the New Yorker password. I'd love to be able to read the fucking New Yorker. That's a class thing. They're keeping themselves in the billionaire class, in the upper class, for the 1%. Nobody in the working class can afford to read these fucking to go behind the paywall. So we're ignorant. So we watch wrestling videos on TikTok. And we distract ourselves with pain and dark, low vibration. Distraction, the circus, the clown show, the pratfalls, the comedic choreography of our disaster. And so anyway, it's all hype. It's all just like whatever they decide. I mean, there's certain companies like Apple or whatever that have been valuable. It's in Forrest Gump, right? He buys Apple stock in like the fucking 70s or whatever. That was in the 70s. That joke was made in the fucking 90s about, and it's still number 2 or whatever on the stock market. Whereas Tesla, I think people are saying Elon Musk is an idiot. It's all, we have a drastically distorted economy because these people have just stolen all of the money, and they just they're all on drugs, they're all psychotic, they're all sociopaths. They don't give a fuck about what happens. I think what they're banking on is there's going to be an environmental collapse, and we will all die. They will survive. we will die. I hope, okay, if there is a civil war, let's just get into this, okay? I hope it's the poor people against the rich people. I hope to God we have the sense, because the problems could be solved. There really is no problem. That's like the most frustrating part about all of this. If we were just communists, no, if we just tax the rich, right? Everybody talks about it. Tax the corporations, tax the rich. There was a 91% tax rate on the highest income bracket when Eisenhower was the fucking president. And so we have ugly buildings because it's cheaper to build them that way. It's cheaper for rich people who don't want to spend money. And they, you know, they should underwrite the quality of our lives. That's the point of the fucking building. The point of the building is not for them to save money. The point of the building is for them to make a good goddamn building that people want to live in, that looks cool, that looks nice. All we have is ugly, these new buildings. Everybody, you know, these 5/1s, these glass condo buildings that nobody even fucking lives in. There's just no dignity. We're living in a humiliated landscape. You know, and we came to New York to escape that. You know, I was a refugee from the Panera Breads and the Barnes and Nobles and the shopping centers and the parking lots and the billboards and the drive-thrus and the fucking telephone poles, electric wires. You wanted to get away from all that. You wanted to be around some walking culture. And yet we can't do this. We cannot. The money is, there is corporate welfare, you know. There's corporate welfare. There's welfare for, you know, the biggest welfare recipients are the billionaires. Oh, God. You know, you shouldn't just be able to buy Twitter. This is a perfect, like, epitome of, like, the cultural moment. It's just like the richest guy in the world buys basically the entire conversation. You know, I think that's what they want. He's an op, right? If he sabotage it, that's perfect, because it was the alternative to the media. You know, everybody was on Twitter. It was like TikTok except writing. Brief kind of. I'm glad I'm off Twitter. I've been off Twitter, I think, probably for about a year. I tried, I had some weak moments. I almost relapsed. And I couldn't remember my password. And so I have not been on Twitter basically since Elon Musk bought it. I think these choices do matter. You know, you can choose to boycott this stuff. I don't want to feed that guy's content mill. I don't want to participate. Even though my Twitter account was like a huge... It was probably my most significant, like, literary asset. The followers I had, you know, important followers somehow. So it was like my writing was being seen, and it was a good way to promote the open mic too. I mean, the one thing about Twitter is the writers are on there. That's what's so fucked up about Elon Musk buying it. I think he just wanted to be cool. He didn't like that it was woke. And so he thought, oh, well, I'll buy this, I'll fix it. And I'll, like, put the Nazis back on it. Because I'm a free speech absolutist, and I'm red-pilled. And I'm a dumbass. With my Alienware computer. These guys, I grew up with these guys. They've had too much power in our lifetimes. Because they're arrogant, they run their fucking mouths, and people believe them. It's all fucking hype, and it's all bullshit. There's nothing, you know, this is the use value that we're given. These kind of media, entertain yourself, you know, film yourself. You can't afford anything physical and real. Everything that's real is expensive. They want you to rent everything. They don't want you to own everything. You know, they're making these decisions for us. That's what's, like, really scary. It feels like there's this massive... And this is not just because I'm on fucking TikTok. This is why this is important that it does feel like It's time to ring the alarm or something, because like it feels like there's this massive reorientation happening in our society where they're making these decisions that are going to like criminalize being poor basically, and not having a job, so and you're going to have to go to jail, or I don't even know, join the military, basically have do whatever they say, have no options. You're at their whim because you have no life choices because you're born in the wrong zip code, or you just breathe. We're just gonna breathe for a second, okay? We're not gonna get totally pissed about it. There ain't no island left for islanders like me. That song is completely what this is about. The Downeaster Alexa. So we went to Montauk. It's still kind of gnarly because it's just, it's on the edge. Uh, Rich people understand the value of keeping their neighborhoods sort of funky, right? Like Telluride, Colorado, or West Village. They want a little bit of the funkiness, just because they know that's the Jane Jacobs. Rich people are smart or some of them are educated, like Columbia, the area around Columbia. I imagine Columbia is the landlord for a lot of those places. They probably own a lot of the buildings. I heard Columbia is like the biggest landowner in Manhattan, and because they don't get taxed or something, they have some kind of weird tax exemption, and they've been there since fucking 1700 or whatever it is. Uh, but like that area is full of kind of funky college, because there's smart people that live there that understand that that's like a real community, that's like a real village, that's a real place that like feeds you. Whereas, when they gentrify a place and it's all just frozen yogurt and Llewellyn ice cream and uh, gourmet grilled cheese shops. Now it's weed stores. I love weed stores, though. Weed stores can go everywhere. Fancy restaurants. White chicks. Business majors. Sorority and frat people. Those are the finance people. They're all part of this pyramid scheme that is the market, the economy. It's like the economy has nothing to do with us. We're not going to get anything back. They're literally taking it all away from us at this moment. What was it? The private equity bought 44% of the fucking whatever single family homes last year. The other thing I'm curious about, they just changed. This was a massive law that got changed with the real estate industry, and this is honestly, these are how our culture works. One little law gets changed, or the Supreme Court makes a decision, and literally our entire society changes. Like what is it? The what's the one I heard of recently? Citizens United. I'm not exactly sure what Citizens United is, but it changed everything. I think it's like the PACs, CPAC and APAC and all this. Citizens United, I think, says they can donate unlimited shit to the PACs, but you can't. You can only direct like a very small amount of money toward like the politician themselves. It's only like $5,000. It's very low. But I think with Citizens United, I could be way off on this. But in any case, there's many examples of this where they change one little law, the fairness doctrine, and it just changes every goddamn. It changes the whole media. It changes the whole. And so this thing with real estate, they got rid of the commission. I guess it was typical for a realtor to get 6% just for opening the door and being there when you sign the contract. And so a lot of people are saying good riddance to fucking this bullshit, because these realtors were making $10,000 an hour to do nothing. Like what do? They show you the place. I don't know. But people are saying good riddance to this. And I understand that because real estate does seem like an industry that's like, you know, you what do? You walk around, you show people nice places, you go out to lunch. You know, it's like it is very like country club. It seems, right? You're driving a nice car probably. You live in a nice neighborhood with where you sell your properties maybe because you got to know the I don't know. So anyway, that's going to change, right? And so it's just interesting because I'm wondering, does it have anything to do with just the home price, or what? It's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money. I guess it's going to save maybe the homeowners money. Do they have to pay what? Oh, that comes out if you sell your house, the realtor gets 6% or whatever, I guess. Whereas no longer that will be the case. So, I don't know. Maybe people sell houses for cheaper. Is this more deregulation? Probably. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck this means, but those people are going to be making a lot less money, a lot less easy money, and who knows? The thing with the TikTok ban that's kind of crazy is how many people make their living on that. It's like it's a part of the economy. It's a lot of people sell things on TikTok. A lot of people, their accounts are monetized. And so these are jobs, right? They'll justify any fucking thing for jobs, right? Oh, well, we want Amazon to come in and build a fucking, plant here or whatever, distribution center, because it's jobs. It's like they exploit, it's not even that many jobs. They put the Facebook data center or whatever it is, Google what fucking data center, and it's like, it brought in 50 jobs or something. It's like, Jesus Christ, and you gave them this huge tax break. It's like, why not just give the money to people? You gave them a, $500 million tax break or something. Why not just give that fucking money to the people? Exactly. To themselves, straight. Fuck Amazon. For 50 jobs, or whatever it is. And yet TikTok employs all these fucking people. People run their stores on it. I thought about selling, if I ever got popular, I suppose it'll never fucking happen. If it hasn't happened yet. I don't know why, certain people, well, do watch this. I guess they know me. But, I guess I'm just yapping vaguely. I'm not really making any, super... I just want to throw, it's more of a collage about the cultural conversation and how these things all tie together. The media is fake. But it's not fake in the way that, Trump wants you to think. It's fake because they make Elon Musk look like Tony fucking Stark. When in reality, he's just, he's Spaulding from Caddyshack. You'll get nothing and like it. Yeah, so it's outrageous to me that they want to ban. Well, they don't. They want them to sell it, right? Because they want to control it. They want to control the message, and they want to make money off of it. It's just mafia shit. All right, maybe I'll read some poetry. I want to read my whole Montauk sequence, so I'm just gonna. Maybe I'll stop at certain points. Okay. Let's see. Alright. I think I'll start here. 313. This is called Visions of Ashley. 313. Visions of Ashley. Disorderly surface making future arrangements. Not programmatic. We can do anything. Putting a seam down the Warhol to implement education. They begin to sense I'm listening. How did Ananya get the signed ace of spades inside the envelope, inside the envelope, inside the envelope, taped to the back of the guitar? They're all the same. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Corkscrew plancha, knee landing stiff on Jeff Hardy's face. A formal program glitch. My armband is the worst thing I've ever heard, but it stays with you. A spiraling tree. No one I ever knew cared as much about trees as you. Bruce Andrews breaks all the rules, so you can too. Wait, yes, the opposite of that. I often mean the opposite of what I write. Sun's out, guns out. They want a lunatic MAGA right-wing fringe to overthrow the government. It's just on January 6th, the dumbasses stood around and took pictures rather than kill everyone. Still haven't been able to find a calendar. It's April. Wrongfully imprisoned in the Garden of Eden, painting in the middle of the night with candles all around his hat, to where dreams escape, pretend like you know what you're doing. It's a family business. Always keep it in the family. Never go against the family. So this is the Montauk live stream. If you haven't seen this yet, I think it was a groundbreaking live stream, actually, for me anyway. I guess a lot of people have been doing this, but it's kind of fun to do a walk and talk in a new location. I'd love to travel and do walk and talks all over the place. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go to different parts of New York and do walk and talks. But we were on vacation in wintertime in Montauk, so it was very eternal sunshine coated. All right, March 14th, leisurama. These are poems from that trip. I'm playing the Copa on Friday. I got to do a plug for my gigs. I'm playing the Copa. Me and Sammy and Frank and Dean. We're playing the Copa on Friday. So I'm seriously reading at the Copacabana. Kind of insane. I'll have to film the whole thing. So look for that on my YouTube page. Shout out to Monique, Jeff Wright, Lonesome. It's a Lonesome Press. Shout out to Lonesome Press at the Copa. And then Sunday I'm at La Mama, etc. So I'll be reading off Broadway. At La Mama, it's a dream come true, where the hotel play premiered. The Wallace Shawn Hotel play, which has like 80 actors in it. So it'll be an honor to be at La Mama. And so I'm kind of trying to, I'm testing things out. I'm seeing what I'm going to do. I'm just reading this stuff, and I thought I'd do it live. I'm giving it away for free. Well, I really should read all my notebooks on my live stream, but there's just so much to talk about. I have to talk about the billionaires. And how, we need to kill them before they kill us. I hate to say it, but we live in New York. They're here. We know where they live. We could go there. That is what the NYPD is for. I hate to say it, but that's what it's for. Ultimately it's to protect them when that moment comes. When I don't think it'll ever happen. But when and if the underclass rises up against, the people on the Upper East Side, and we go there and we go to Rupert Murdoch's house, you want to talk about a fucking foreign owned company that has too much influence. Get Rupert Murdoch out of this country. They want to ban TikTok, ban fucking Rupert Murdoch. Ban Fox News. I would rather see them ban Fox News in all of Rupert Murdoch's bullshit than TikTok. TikTok is for the people. TikTok is socialism. It's trying to help us get famous and help us heal and learn and become obsessed with it and become a zealot and a propagandist for it and to talk about it constantly and to evangelize about it. fuck Fox News. Ban Fox News. If I was in fucking Congress, I would create a bill or a law that, can we get, they're look at how fast they passed this fucking bill. They cannot get anything done. Congress, Senate, any of the government, they can't get anything done. And they got their motherfucking asses together on this shit real quick. Why? What happened? Why is this an emergency all of a sudden? That's what I want to know. What happened recently, within the last month or something? They're like, hey, we need to get our shit together and ban this mother. Is it because I got back on it? I think it's because I got back on it, actually. We make our own reality, so I'm making this reality, so it's obviously all about me. I think it's because I'm back on it. They know it's just going to, the influence is too powerful. The trickle-down effect of influence. Yeah, Montauk had kind of Panama City Beach vibe to it a little bit. I love those kind of spring break vacation towns. That's where I belong. Carnies, we belong where the tourists are. We belong where the music is. The Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, Key West, Vegas. Bruno Mars owes $50 million in gambling debt. Apparently he gets paid $1 million a night. I don't know how that's fucking possible. How the fuck does that economically make? See, we're just living in a massively distorted. Nothing has any real value anymore. Bruno Mars gets paid $1 million, and don't get me wrong, he's talented. I'm not saying he's not. $1 million a night? Jesus Christ. I get paid $100 if I'm lucky. There's a vast wealth inequality happening here, I believe. But in any case, it's what you can get people to pay for. It's what you can trick people into thinking something is worth, basically. That's the economy we live in. Whatever you can trick people into believing is valuable. And, we want refrigerators that break in 3 years because we need planned obsolescence, because we need to do stock buybacks instead. That was a law that changed. I forget, maybe that's the fairness doctrine. I don't know. Something, Reagan obviously did most of this shit. But stock buybacks used to be illegal. Now it's all they do. And so they're never going to reinvest, right? They're never going to take the money they make and reinvest it. They're just going to raise the price of cereal and encourage you to eat it for dinner. They're going to raise the price of McDonald's. What? Because what? Pretty soon we're not going to have a choice? Everything is going to be so expensive? Well, McDonald's is going to be $16. Does that mean... I just got back from the everyday grocery. I spent $29. I've never spent that much money before, ever in my life, on what I got. It's like, did they raise their prices? I don't know. That's a different story. But it's looking hopeless. How do you even get rich? You can't get rich unless you're already rich. It's all about your network. Your network is your net worth, right? And I was talking to Danny Fallon about this last night. Shout out to Danny Fallon. What the fuck were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Well, all these comedy shows in Brooklyn, like at Union Hall or Littlefield or wherever. It's all these comedians I've never heard of. And granted, I guess maybe open mic comedians are on one circuit. But, and I could be way off base on this, but those people probably moved here. They probably went to Harvard. They probably went to some kind of Georgetown, whatever. They went to some school where they had some kind of super organized network. And they just got into it super early. They were in their improv group in fucking college or whatever. They were doing stand-up, I don't know, fucking when they were in high school. But then they come to New York, and it's like I've seen this with apartments. These people who go to Columbia have access to the best apartments. because that network has it's like a rhizome, you know, it's like a fungus, it's like an underground network and root system where it's like it's so deep, it's so old. If you're able to buy into that, if you're able to get into Columbia or Harvard or whatever it is, uh Goldman, I don't even know, these finance things are a whole other fucking thing, these different firms, whatever, real American Psycho shit. Yale, Skull and Bones. Your network is your net worth, you know? So it's like fucking, you know, these guys, there's a Harvard to Hollywood pipeline, there's a Harvard to SNL pipeline, the Simpsons, you know, now it's like a thing. So getting into these elite kind of privileged schools, I mean, I know it's poetry, right? I don't know. If you went to Harvard, people automatically just kind of take anything you do with a kind of seriousness, and they look at it like it's probably better than anything. You know, they look at you like you're smarter than them. Oh my God, you went to Harvard, Jesus Christ. And increasingly, I just feel like it's about that kind of stuff. You know, it's just about your credentials and everything. It's about we're pre-sifted, you know, into just these networks. These people aren't even funny, right? But it's like if you're a guy who moves here from Indiana or Ohio or whatever, you went to a state school, you might, I didn't have a network really when I moved here. I mean, a lot of people I went to college with lived in the city, but I didn't really uh and get involved with them that much. Once I moved into 257, that really became my social life, or like my initial kind of social structure, in addition to like the restaurants I worked in. You know, if it were not for the good fucking will of Nico Delaveras, God bless him, soul man, my hero, someday I will pay him back. I wouldn't even be here. But I went to high school with him. So he helped me initially get a foothold in the city. Let me crash at his place. Thank you, man. Thank you. I owe you forever. But I thought I would get to a point where I'd be able to give back. And I'm still just kind of trying to even get to square one, really. Just trying to get any kind of traction, any kind of viewership, any kind of... But do it my way, right? Be as artistic as I want to be. Trust yourself, like Bob says. You got to trust yourself, you know? Whatever your ideas are, even if they don't work. Even if other people do not respond to them, you just keep hammering away. And just try to make your ideas as good as possible. But, yeah. So let me bitch more about nepotism, networks, children of famous people. They go brown, or... You know, I got glimpses into this here and there, but most of my... Like, when I went to UCB, that was a whole other class and kind of network of people that I wouldn't really have gotten to mix with normally. That's what was so great about UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade improv classes. It was just like all these incredible people from kind of every direction of life. Bartenders, waiters, like me, famous people's kids. You know, I was in an improv class with people who worked for the fucking Onion. So they were all very talented, but it was just like, you know, you pay $300, you're in the class. And you think you're going to get on NBC, you think you're going to get on Parks and Rec, or you're going to get some kind of workplace docu-sitcom, post-office kind of workplace. And then 10 years later, you're still using those techniques. 15 years later. Yeah, I mean, I would say, this is kind of off topic, but I would say a lot of... you know, with the open mic and with definitely this kind of improvisational talking style and just kind of, the thing about improv is just like you have to embrace anything that happens. You yes and. There are no mistakes. You are enough. You are already enough. And you use whatever happens. The mistake is actually the best part. It's like the useful part. It's the thing that makes it interesting. That's the cult. That's the dogma of the cult of improv. But so I don't know. I liked going to that theater. It had a cool energy that you can unleash. I mean, there's a lot of people in New York, and there's a lot of people that want to perform. We still want to gather, as much as they're trying to push us to do every goddamn thing online in a virtual space. They can create and they can control our abundance through the phone. It's all just in the phone, right? Our whole inventory, everything we own, basically. It's less people are going to own books or, obviously people don't own CDs or DVDs or any of that kind of stuff anymore. A lot of people write their poems into their notes app. So they can control it, they can observe it, they can use our data, right? Our data supposedly it's more valuable than oil, is what I'm hearing. The theory was that data is kind of the new precious resource, and that the next kingdoms of wealth are going to be kind of the data harvesters or whatever, accumulators. Because they can sell us things. I heard somebody say that the data is how they convince us what they want to convince us of. They'll just use whatever data they want to be like, see, this is why. This is why houses are $1,300 a month, because of this data. This data says that we can charge this much. That's what I heard. I mean, I read an article a couple of years ago about these private equity firms buying up the real estate and an algorithm, quote unquote, whatever the fuck that means. This is just like a voodoo word. Economics, tech, they're this unholy union. And they just have all these terms that are just bullshit. It's all just bullshit. It's all voodoo, and it's all just crypto. NFTs were a perfect example of that. Of just it's an idea they convinced. Oh, it's the blockchain. It's the fucking blockchain. Well, it's different because you get a fucking serial number in the blockchain that corresponds to your piece of shit art that nobody would want to buy. That's what makes it worth money. It's like they convinced a bunch of dumbasses that this was real. And it's just bullshit. It's whatever they can convince you of, right? And poetry, they claim is worth nothing. And yet, look at these poetry readings are full of people. People write poetry. People want to read their poetry. Poetry's in everything. Pop music, movies, anything that works artistically has poetry in it. Things that people pay for. And yet we're taught that it's not worth anything. But the thing that's nice about poetry is it's not monetized. Fuck money and fuck the market and how it... Things that weren't worth any money 40 years ago, most of these places that are gentrified, nobody wanted to live there 40 years ago. And now they're the most expensive places to live. The East Village, Short North in Columbus, Ohio, was dangerous. I don't know. All right, March 14th, Leisurama. Leisurama. Bathing Cotillion. Neo Tudor Fra Angelico. Who is Kitaj? She's got a badge to the underground queer basement nightclub at the bottom of the rectory with David Sedaris. Sayville, Spionk, above ground pools all filled with rainwater. Bocce Court, Checker Cab, Shinnecock Hills, and training to Bridgehampton, the 1102 to Ronkonkoma. Google Lily Pond Lane when we're in a station unbeknownst to me a couple blocks away. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. The potato fields of Amagansett, due north of where Frank O'Hara died. The transatlantic turbine of songs is built on water. Points east, alimentary like mouth. The town yogurt brand Spankin'. Palmonic City reaching its fingered hand through the ocean of sun and God. A religion to borrow walk-up business paid for easy breezy old wives' tale on Block Island Sound. Kevin James, King of Queens, airing on country music television. How does that make any fucking sense? See, people hate poetry. The frenzy of the stock ticker. Buy, buy, buy. You got to buy NVIDIA. Now there's only like 5 companies that even, because everything is just a phone. You know, everything is just one tech company or another. You know, it's Google. Google handles email, search results, YouTube. Facebook has all of our personal life. They've monetized our personal life and our secrecy, our secrets. Tesla is like sort of just like a dumb fanboy Reddit bro, like umbrella for like futuristic. I mean, look at the Cybertruck. Like, it's dangerous. The visibility is really bad because it's poor design all around. There's nothing about it. It's expensive. It's like the worst of everything. You know, it's like a king has a bad idea and they try to impose it on everybody. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, it's great. You know, it's like, this is one thing that drives me nuts about. I hate tech people so much. I hate them so much. And it's like, so much of their imagination is built on like science fiction. And so it's like they're nerds. They were nerds growing up. And I don't care. I'm a nerd. You know, I've always been a nerd. All my friends have always been nerds. It's just those nerds got incredibly rich and powerful. And the rest of us, our teeth are falling apart. And we have nothing. We're 40 years old going on 18. I heard a guy say 35 is the new 18. So I'm like, what does that make me, like 20? But in any case, there's like this authority that they have. Like, we're in good hands. They're geniuses, you know, and like they're designing this better world. And look at what we're in. Look what they've used it for. And like, look at the ugliness. Look at the non-functionality. Look at the complete disbalance. You know, the distortion of the media now, the distortion of the message, the stupidity. I mean, I predicted all of this in my poem about the internet in 1999. I wrote a poem about the internet in 1999, and I predicted all of it. This stuff could be used. We could have a utopia, and instead we have a dystopia. And it's just like, why is this country so self-defeating? You know, this is the wealthiest country in the fucking world. By far. And yet we all are living in poverty. Our infrastructure has crumbled. Our infrastructure is like from the 70s. And the new stuff they do build is ugly. It's kind of manipulating design. You know, these stadiums, like the Arena District in Columbus, Ohio, they tore down the penitentiary, which was this amazing old building. Now it would probably be lofts or something. They turned it into some kind of art studios. But they tore it down. They built the arena there, and then they built like the shopping district and the sort of, they built like a walkable cityscape that you could shop in around the arena. You know, because they know you're going to be going there, and then they sell all the contracts to all the corporate businesses, Cold Stone Creamery, Ted's Montana Grill, Buca di Beppo. I don't even know, these kind of portfolio restaurants. They just manipulate the civic design. They decide they're making these decisions based on what they want us to do. It's like these wish trails, right? Look up wish trails. I think they're called wish trails. You'll see these when you're out like walking sometimes. If there's a concrete path or some kind of like man-made path will go like a certain way to like try to be fancy or whatever, like it was the landscape architect's design or however they wanted to do it. But then you'll see what you call a wish trail, which is where people have actually walked through because that's where they want to go. That's the path that's the path of least resistance, essentially. It's the path that people prefer to go. You know, if you look at Manhattan below 14th Street, it's basically all wish trails. The West Village is all wish trails because it's places people actually fucking walked. You know, they walked parallel to the bank of the river. If you look at Lower Manhattan, you have these streets that go along the bank of the river and then streets that go into the river because that was how they fucking walked, you know? That was the natural path. Broadway is like a wish trail that goes. And by wish trail, I just mean it's a footpath. It's where people fucking walked. But then the grid plan, and granted, like the grid plan is good for what it is. You know, it is what it is. It helps you kind of. It's like it's automatically being able to locate yourself because you can logically sort of find your place from one place to the other because the streets aren't just named random shit. It's like 68th and 2nd is going to be where you think it is. But it kind of takes the romance out of it. And it kind of, well, with these wish trails, it's like, you know, the design should match ergonomics and functionality. And there should be like a satisfaction to that. If you look at, you know, this is something people are constantly bemoaning, but we lived in a reality of physical, tangible objects and craftsmanship for centuries, millennium, until the screen, the phone, the computer, and now everything is in that, you know? I mean, there's still people, there's like a fetishization of physical objects, and there's still people making things. But it's not, I think we all realize that things aren't made as well as they used to be. And a lot of that is because they're not reinvesting. You know, these corporations do not give a fuck. They want to make shit as cheaply as possible and make as much money as they can for their shareholders. And so their CEOs can get a bonus when they fire everybody. You know, that's like the game plan. It's like this Jack Welch template where it's like you go in, you fucking fire everybody, you slash costs, and then you give them bonuses to the executives and stock buybacks and that bullshit. I don't know. It's just, we're all suffering. There's so many people suffering. We can't find comfort. We can't afford our own apartments. You know, we can't have agency and authority over our own lives. That's the point. They don't want us to have that. And that's what's happening in this moment. It's like a push comes to shove moment where they're saying, we are taking this all away from you. There's going to be no more third spaces, no community, no self-ownership at all. You're not going to have any agency. You're going to rent, you're going to work, you're going to do what we tell you to do. And you're going to be on your phone all the fucking time. Feeding us, you know, whatever the fuck we want. Your private life, your personal life. Every transaction has a transaction fee. This was something I saw a video about, in other countries. America's like the only, it's not Cash App, but there's an app in other countries. I forget what it is. But America is the only country in the world, I guess, that doesn't have a international cashless transaction free app. There's no free app where you can send monetary transactions internationally from like your bank in this country. There's always a fee attached. Whereas I forget what the app is, but literally everybody else in the world uses this app. It's outlawed here because they want to make money on it. These transaction fees and shit. Oh my god, it drives you insane. That's how they make their money. They make their money. They're not creating anything. They're just charging. Charge, charge, charge. Oh god. Okay. So anyway, March 15th, Memory Motel. There it is. That's the Memory Motel right there. That's the real one. We were there. We were staying about a half a block from the Stones, man. Memory Motel. South Edna Street, Amen Dunes Hotel, S'more Per Diem, S'more Per Diem, Carved Stone Floors, Monster Liquor, Spring Break Montauk 24, woo! The End at the End, watching SmackDown at the Point, dining elementary with Ashley, stopping into the department and drugstore, Lucia Loves Manic, we signed the poetry shelf in the basement of the circular bookstore. Ace Ventura thinks it's Snowflake, but really it's Jaws. I'm talking about shocking. Kinney's Tipperary, controversial even at the time. We're buying Warhol's compound with Lauren Michaels, Jan Werner, and Jasper Johns, walking the length of Long Island to New York City per day. John Bryan, Royal Atlantic, boarded up, half buried in avalanches of sand, invasive grasses killing the native species, seashells scattered and broken over the beach like the wooden stairways hanging from the cliffs of the billionaire moguls' houses. I want to be a mogul. I want to be the Rupert Murdoch of good news. Smart people news, who care about each other and the well-being of our living habitat, other animals, starlings, sparrows, a goldfinch, or a warbler. Yes, Daddy. Whales at odds. The guy Quint is based on. Humpbacks add further wonderment. Joel Barish and Clementine. We are hipster beach bum Brooklyn Bolinas. Barry Diller and Diane von Furstenberg. David Cross. Gwyneth Paltrow. Michelle Gondry. Ashley slipped her zine to Charlie Kaufman. Why she was published in Gathering of the Tribes. She beats me at everything. What gets published is what counts. Print is money. The permanence, the bigger. The circulation, the better. Finding it remaindered or in bookstores later. Thrift stores like Jody Peacold. Iris Silverberg takes the LIRR once a week for class. Shingled cottages, I like it here at the end of the world. Cops airing on Fox Business. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Caricature maps, pack of fawns and deer as we bike to the Montauk Library. They're a little weirded out and cautious, but we don't totally scare them off. Me on a beach cruiser lowrider, Ashley on purple mountain bike. We smoke weed on the ocean deck, and I miraculously upload my latest Scenes from a Life webisode on their complimentary Dell laptops. 3D printer readily available nearby. Example of socialism in action. Rich people community undeveloped, where the library has a $2 million yearly transparent budget. Salmon filaments flicker upon an Easter egg blue-green high-deck Atlantic promontory where the Amistad landed. The misty gold nucleates into hot flashes of red and purple, dialing down over unexpected clumpy altitudes of Hamptons. The Hampton subway takes me to the open mic in North Fork. 96 steps to the private beach. Now I own the place. Talkhouse Trails Inn restaurant by Fort Pond and the microbrewery. No better place to write than a beach town in the off-season. It's warm in New York City today, 70 degrees for March, but we're here. A sting in the Atlantic cold as a spy follows us from the beach. reading at the restaurant nearby table to the relaxation igloos back at the hotel. More and more, I'm noticing psyops and government plants, black and white parties in the Hamptons, taking on Diesel at Peconic Bay, the Downeaster Ashley, eternal sunshine of the spotless Ashley, collecting local weeklies on the kitchenette, desk table, hearing extreme sports bros hitting on townies through motel walls. Roomkey says number two, small town journalism shagwong off the roundabout, only pool table and jukebox in town. Black and blue Ashley brings me gluten-free pancakes with banana for breakfast. She means well, channel surfing sports center, Hamptons TV, morning for Greenport, where I went in spirit, IFC PGA. Ashley vaguely knew a murderer. She'd killed a husband in the past. The second time she pleaded insanity, hit by a dune buggy. Spring show in spring at Springs. My forte. Yeah, so we went to the public library in Montauk. It's an example of socialism. That's what I'm talking about. They got a 3D printer because it's rich people, so they tax them and they build a nice library for the townies and people like me, the bums. The bums like me. But they have all these super celebs, that act like beach bums. All right, I'll just keep going with the poetry. March 16th. We took the Hamptons subway to Stranger Things. And I read this at the open mic yesterday. This is my opening thing. We took the Hamptons subway to Stranger Things, where CIA op industry plant Andy Warhol, did mind control experiments on milk carton children under the radar at Camp Hero, where that expression comes from, Algonquin for beach. Which one are you, loon, scooter, heron, on the Seal Hall Trail to the observation kiosk, ruddy-faced, afoot and light-hearted, taking to Palmonic shores? The graveyard of ships gets storm chasers for big waves when there's hurricanes in the tropics. Picked up Nightwood at the Friends of the Library book sale. Left 1 year on the donation rack. Everything should be pay what you want. Everything should be pay what you want. Pink taco taxi, fresh seafood from the Dream Warrior. They unalived the Boeing whistleblower while he was in Charleston to testify. Mnuchin wants to buy TikTok. The U.S. is only 10% of their global audience. Nautical, peacoat, sushi, and sashimi. Do you know who the fuck you're talking to? Siesta Key. We bought there 30 years ago. You would love it. Eotheon at first light. Tudor Revival Fra Davilo, corned beef and cabbage at Shagwong, St. Patrick's Day. I was wrong about gorillas when Eric Eichholt wanted to cover Feel Good Inc. I was wrong about anything people liked that I doubted. There's no island left for islanders like me. Canceled St. John's game mid-play. COVID put us in a funk we haven't gotten out of. 8 p.m. seared scallops. 8 pan-seared scallops on a bed of spinach and mashed sweet potatoes. The seat is in the bar by the busy elevator. Repeat of last night. $40 plus in cabs to get here and back. Swordfish skishing World Capital reel casting. Commissioned by George Washington. Ashley's at all my shows. House of Vans or Red Bull Academy. Sturgeon flounder trouncing and running. Cartwheeling and Atlantic salt spray. Kevin James, the King of Queens, omnipresent syndication. His face, personality, and body type informs the layers over the male gender presentation. Fried pickles dipped in ranch. Zeppel's Forte. Irish cab driver. Shared automatic side door minivan. Californication. Julian Schnabel open air studio Lost in the Dunes. It's like the West Coast, but the opposite. Wow, I can't believe I read that last night. You probably should have read the other one. Oh well. I think it went well. It kind of reminded me of Bolinas. It's like this small seaside town. Kind of feels like a pirate town a little bit. The Smiley, the bar, Shagwong kind of reminded me of Smiley's a little bit. Where's our poetry town? I don't know. Where are we going to get... Bolinas you couldn't really beat, though. I mean, the physical, the hill, it's like hilly, right on this lagoon, right on the ocean. It's an hour from San Francisco. I mean, You couldn't really do a lot better than Bolinas, to be honest. But yeah, with the open mic recently, I've been trying to. I mean, it was kind of interesting because I don't think I had done a show since the previous Monday. I had to work on Wednesday, and then we left on Thursday. I don't think I did a show, so it was like, that's the first time I'd really been away from the city for an extended period of time since 2021. I mean, I have not left New York City, barely left Brooklyn and Manhattan since 2021. So that was my first time really out of the city since then. And, it was just nice to be in a place of like kind of the opposite amount of stimulation. The sky. I mean, one thing I regret is I didn't look up at the sky enough because it's kind of dark out there. There's less light pollution. So it's really dark at night. There's less lights in that town. There's just less street lights. There's less signage. So it's like at night it's fucking dark. And that's kind of the antithesis of New York City, right? Where it's just constant. It's like living in a slot machine, where it's just bright lights, big city, action, 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 pretty much all the time. Although New York isn't what it used to be. These waters ain't what they used to be. A guy thanked me for the Downeaster Alexa references, so I was trying to get my Billy Joel on. I think this is the summer of Long Island. I mean, I mentioned this on this podcast, but like Brooklyn is Long Island. It kind of acts like it's its own thing, and it's part of New York City, so it's connected to the kind of 5 points of the boroughs. But it really is a part of Long Island, the greatest place on earth. I don't know. I'm kind of into Long Island. Maybe I'm just naive, and I don't know enough about it. But like, it seems fun to me. It seems like party, beautiful links golf. I love the sea. I love the Atlantic. I think I like the Atlantic is a little less. You can kind of get you can get your arms around the Atlantic. You kind of get your hands on it. The Pacific just seems like never ending. It might as well be outer space because you're just like, forget about it. It's so fucking massive, the Pacific Ocean. The Atlantic feels like, hey, I could just about jump from here to Ireland. Or whatever, from Nova Scotia to whatever. It's not that fucking far. And so being there, being close to the Atlantic was kind of nice. We got to watch the Fishing with John episode about Montauk. It really is like the last city, though. That's kind of what I feel is like iconic about it. It's why Warhol lived there. It's different because it's the last one. I mean, it's the furthest point out there. And so it really does have this kind of like rough around the edges kind of vibe. That, everybody just seemed like a drunk. Everybody just seemed pickled. In a cool way. I mean, that's how people in New York used to feel. When you came here, it's like you met some real motherfuckers. You met people who had done heroin, people with blotchy skin, people who had red nose, red face, Irish sopping drunks. There was a lot more of that energy. Just like dirty, drunk, sweaty, smelly, B.O. Real motherfuckers. People get drunk and they have magic. This Irish cab driver had some real magic in him. He said he took the train into the city just to watch a fucking March Madness game. He loves St. John's University, which I think is where Chris Mullen went to college. So maybe it's some Irish white people thing. Who knows? It's a Long Island thing. He wanted to see us Johnnies. But they canceled it because of COVID. That's what that's about. So yeah, there's some salty dogs out there. The sea spray. They're all fucking sunburned and wind sprayed and shit. So I'm ready to buy a timeshare or a small cottage. Supposedly W.S. Merwin bought a cottage in France for $400 in like the 40s or whatever. I think it was probably after the war. It's like, that ain't happening for anybody my age, $400 cottage in France. I mean, I saw a video, the guy say the future is sustainable electronic RVs, basically. If you get some kind of hybrid EV RV where you get internet off of your phone, or I don't even know, pay for your phone. It's like we're not going to solve the housing crisis. It's just in fact, we're going to be exploited because there is a housing crisis. They're finding a weakness, they're finding a scarcity, and they're exploiting it even more. And so the solution, and I was way ahead on this. I've wanted to live in an RV since the 90s. But what I was going to do if I hadn't moved to New York and found my cheap room at the Slooge, I was going to buy an RV and like either park it in my parents' driveway or maybe somebody's backyard. Like John Ryan had a small trailer that he lived in the backyard of this house in Austin, Texas. I think they ran electric out to it and internet. He had wireless, obviously. So, like, if I could do that, if I could just park an RV on somebody's land and live in a fucking RV, I would totally do that, But I decided to do this instead. And so far, so good. I'm loving this. I'm glad of the choice that I made. I want to stay with this. I'd like to succeed in society. But if I'm 45 or 50, that could be where you'll find me. I could be the next Unabomber, living in an RV. He didn't live in an RV, but it's what we call innovation. So, yeah, anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Before I started talking about the RVs. Could I just live in an RV on Long Island? Oh yeah, I want this to be the summer of Long Island. I want to go all around Long Island and just check it out and have fun. I want to go to the beach. The last 2 summers I was so like Manhattan, downtown. I want to hit these clubs, open mics, blah blah blah. It's like this summer I want to be at the beach. I want the sun. I want to go to the houseboat, the boathouse. I want to go boating. Maybe we'll even ride the jet ski. Who knows? Okay, I'll read some more poem. I'm doing it one day at a time here. This is March 16th. We took the Hampton subway to Stranger Things, where CIA op industry plant Andy Warhol did mind control experiments on milk carton children under the radar at Camp Hero, where that expression comes from. I mean, I did read... How much of this did I read? Did I read this whole thing already? I guess I did. I did read this whole thing. Fuck. Sorry. I'm so fucking blasted. Jesus Christ. No, actually, I mean, the thing about last night... Okay, I do want to talk about this, is I did not smoke, actually. Because I'd been in Montauk... I hadn't had time to buy more weed. There was actually really not very... I don't think there was... I think there was maybe one weed store out there. I was kind of shocked. Maybe I'll open a weed store in Montauk. Out of my RV. The weed guy. And get rich. That's a way to get rich. Your network is your net worth. I'll be palling around with the stars. With goop. So yeah, last night I was not high for my opening. I mean, and I was kind of tired. It's like we had just gotten back on the train late the night before. Been walking around all over the place, walking, doing this. We walked all over fucking Montauk, and so I was a little tired. That's part of the reason why I do this every week and do a weekly show, and it's about consistency and it's about staying committed. Once a week is really not that much. I mean, if you want to be a pro, that's nothing. I'd love to be doing it 4 times a week, honestly. I was talking to Junie about it yesterday. Shout out to Junie. I ran into him at the downstairs open mic, which was packed because it's their yearly contest thing. Shout out to Jada. That was I wish I could do it, But he was like, how long are you going to do it? You know, it's like, well, I don't see any reason to stop. You know, I like doing it. I want to do a weekly show. I want to be a professional entertainer. This is, why give that up? You know, it's like I want to do more. I don't want to do less, So it's like, until I get and I love doing the open mic. To be honest, it's kind of the ultimate show because it's like you get to put so many people on, and it's not hierarchical as far as like judgment about there's not that much judgment about the talent factor. It's like you can put on, and yeah, I don't know, you just get to know a lot of, artists. I think the hierarchy of talent in our culture is such a lie. The idea that there are people like that are just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some people that like have special voices, special this, special that, but like there's a lot of incredibly talented artists out there. And I feel like they're not given the chance to develop like they need to in this culture. For all of the reasons that I've been talking about. The culture does not want us to develop into capable, potent, imaginative, self-confident beings, right? It doesn't want us to have, and it less and less so, is wanting us to have a habitat to be artists, to be poets, to speak our truth, to confer and share. Let me put another thing on real fast. Hold on. And what is this thing? So this is yesterday. Um, and so it's like, you know, you have consistency, repetition is a part of practice. And I also think it's kind of exciting that no matter what happens, no matter how we spiral out and boomerang into the world and how far we go, it's kind of exciting that every Monday at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, boom, this is where I'm going to be, and this is what's going to be going on. I don't know. I think that's kind of exciting. For me, it's exciting. I mean, look at Jimmy Fallon, or look at fucking when Carson did the Tonight Show here or whatever. It's like those people, they do that show 5 days a week, right? And they have to write a whole thing. And it's like it's a 9 to 5 job. We all want to get to that, really, but it's hard to find venues that will give you time. And I mean, it's hard to find an audience. I don't know. I don't know how to find a paying audience. I've never been good at that. But I also I like having an audience of performers who are artists themselves. And I like sharing the stage, and like with everybody. I like, that's sharing is caring. And so with the open mic, it's like, that's more how it should be in my, it's a way to live the principles. It's show, don't tell. This is what we're doing, right? Everybody gets a piece of the pie. Everybody gets their time. You have to wait your turn, but we're there every week. It's consistency. So yesterday I wasn't high, and I was like, because I find that usually socially I'm better with people when I'm sober. This is one thing I've noticed recently. It's just like on stage, it's kind of good to have nervous, big energy. In person, it can really scare people away. And just, I can't tell you how many people I have a conversation with that last 2 sentences before they want to get away from me. And I don't really know why. Even people that like me or like want to come up and talk to me, it's like they'll say 2 things to me and they're like, okay, I got to get out of here. See you later. It's like, what the fuck? It's because I'm just weird. I mean, whenever I get high, I'm always self-conscious about it. I'm always like, oh my God, I'm high. I'm going to be weird. They're going to get scared. My energy's going to be weird. It's like Cyclops having his visor off. You just feel like you're fucking lasers are going to go everywhere. You're going to start to blow things up. You're not going to be able to control this, because you smoke weed, and that the reason I do is because the wild energy comes out. I feel things. I feel great. It does just like elevate. I don't know. It makes you feel good. It's a cheat. It's a way to cheat and feel good. I'd like to be a higher vibration person. Am I low vibration? I don't know. But in any case, the show must go on, right? That's part of doing it every time you say you're going to do it. You have to go on stage. And that's part of having a practice. It's part of the journey that you realize is like, you're going to have great shows. You're going to have good shows. You're going to have bad shows. You're going to, but it's like, and it is scary. You're all like, I was nervous, I was probably feeling more like self-conscious, bad emotions last night because I wasn't high, and the audience, I mean, this is one thing with the open mic, having done it this long, you notice certain patterns, whatever. A lot of times when the weather is not, especially now, it's like, it's the first nice days of the year. We weren't here. We were in Montauk where it was like kind of chilly, but in New York, it was like 70 degrees or something. So it was literally like the first fucking nice days of the year. So everybody was probably out all weekend, right? Everybody was probably fucking outside for the first time in 3 months, probably with their friends, partying, going out. People got sick. And then on Monday, it wasn't nice, right? Like, it wasn't that cold, but especially Monday night, it was getting chilly. Plus, there's an open mic literally downstairs from where we're doing our open mic upstairs at the same business. Theirs is a poetry open mic. Mine is a poetry open mic, among other things. And then they're doing another open mic on Wednesday of the same week. So that's going to take away. So I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, I had a good amount of signups, but not like a lot, not like a record-breaking amount. And then, and this is not uncommon, but like usually, like I'm saying, on a weekend after this, I'll get a number of cancellations. You get a lot of people. That's one of the things that's interesting about doing this is you see kind of human, like, group thinking, or just like how people move kind of in patterns. It's like if one person cancels, it's usually like a bunch of people are going to cancel, and they all kind of say the same thing. They're sick or this. They, and that's fine. That's what I'm saying is this is part of doing it, right? Early on, you get spooked by these things. You think, oh my God, people aren't going to come anymore, or is I'm never going to make money, or blah blah blah, this or that. But it's like, no, you got to stay slow and steady, and you just keep doing it. You just keep hammering away. You keep showing up, no matter, some weeks are highs, some weeks are packed. Some weeks, it's just so packed you can't hardly fit in the room. And then other weeks, it's like kind of slower. It's kind of more chill. I mean, so the audience last night, like I said, a lot of times after weekends like this where it's warm and they've been out doing stuff all weekend, the audience was just dead. I mean, literally, they're just dead. And this is something you notice if you watch Carson. You notice every time he comes out for his monologue, almost every time, the first thing he says is usually about the audience. It's usually like, "Wow, this is a great audience," or he'll say something about how last night's audience sucked, or, "Oh, this audience is," it's like you can tell that like they're just in their studio. They're used to doing this show. They've done it thousands of times. And they get different reactions from people, but it's slow and steady. It's like you keep doing the show, and you kind of have to self-amuse. Even if the energy isn't there from the audience, at a certain point, it becomes enough like a job that it's just like you don't care as much. When you're first starting out, you're really leaning on the audience reaction. You need applause. You need, comedians are, a lot of times they're reactive to every little sound in the audience. What did you say? If somebody says something, "Oh, what'd you say?" They're reactive to every little reaction because they think that that's telling them something about their material or whatever, their performance. But, sometimes audiences are just quiet. Like last night, you could just tell, like the people they didn't have the energy, and they were just kind of silent, I mean, there was a little bit of this or that, when you would kind of spike the energy to get them clapping, but it would always go back down to zero. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like some weeks are just like that. You know, some weeks it's like the weather outside sucks, so everybody wants to be inside. And so they're super hyped. It's like usually on a 3 day weekend, people are rested. They've had an extra day. And so they come in, they got a lot of energy. So usually when there's a 3 day weekend, it's a big, big night. And so you start to notice patterns. There's something to be said for staying with something and just trying to do it as long as you can, you know? And so the open mic is a lot of fucking work. I mean, like my body, you know, most Tuesdays I'm just like not doing shit because you know, I'm sore, and I mean, especially after the weekend into the open mic on Monday, it's like I'm pretty just wanting to chill today. But that's part of it too. Is just like it's good to push yourself, to be tired sometimes, to have to go through little patches where like you got to work a lot, get things done, take care of fucking business. So it's like last night I'm doing the piano thing, I'm improvising, but I wasn't high, and so I'm just like the audience is dead. I'm not like being buttressed by this like artificial kind of good feeling gas of like smoked up. And so like, it's weird because a lot of times you'll think that you bombed or you didn't do a good job, and people come up to you afterwards and be like, "Wow," like I had that guy send me a message today saying thank you for mentioning the Downeaster Alexa. And then I had another, I thought last night, like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm never really, like, judging it. But I've got, I guess, opinions about if it's a good night or a bad night or a great night or whatever. And honestly, a lot of times my opinion is a lot different than what other people think in the audience. A lot of times I'll think, oh, this isn't a great night. And people in the audience will be like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like the best, blah, blah, blah. We're definitely coming back or whatever. And then other nights I'll be like, this is great. This is one of the greatest nights we've ever done, and just like no one really pays it any attention or thought it was anything special. So that's one of the things that's tricky about being an artist or being an entertainer. Is something that works for you might not work for other people, or your reaction might just be different. I don't know. I often find myself at odds with how other people are feeling about, like Ishtar. I love Ishtar. I love a lot of stuff that other people don't like. And so, when people don't like what I do, it's like, well, I don't know. My sensibility is just different, I'm ahead of my time. You don't understand what I'm doing, okay? It's going over your head. It's too advanced. All right, so maybe I'll read some more. So yeah, I mean, consistency, sticking. I mean, so yeah, I'd like to do the open mic for at least 2 years. We're 6 months away from 2 years, and like I said, I don't feel a reason to stop. I still have fun doing it. It's a great way to meet a lot of people. I'm getting valuable experience. Where else am I going to get that much stage time and get paid? It's like it's a win, 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 win. As far as New York goes, you couldn't have a better room. It's like I'm in a great location, in a legendary place. It's a literary place. It's a great facility. Like, why would I should expand. What I'd like to do and what I'm trying to do is maybe get an open mic. I'd love to do Hellphone, honestly. I feel like Hellphone would be the perfect place. I'd love to have an open mic at like Hellphone like Thursday. And basically just do what I do at KGB in Brooklyn on like a Thursday. And have, a 4-hour whatever fucking free-for-all of poetry, music, comedy. Because everybody lives in Brooklyn, so that's an audience that I'm not tapping into as much as I should. And it's closer to where I am. So honestly, I should expand rather than think, oh, if I quit doing this, what would happen? It's just like it would make no sense. It's just like, even though, for people on the outside, it probably looks like, oh, they're still doing that. Like, why? That's still happening. It's like, yeah, just because it's not the new kid on the block thing anymore. It's like usually I quit things early. That's been kind of my weakness is like I don't stay with things. And so this is something that I really want to do, and it's like we get to experiment, and I can do basically creatively whatever I want with my slots. I could basically format it however I want, as long as it works and it makes money. And so I would love to have a show that's just me fucking talking for 2 hours that 100 people wanted to show up to, but I also like this because I do feel like it's like it feels good to do. It feels good to just like it's a way of giving, sort of. I mean, maybe that sounds stupid, but I do think people need attention. We want attention, you know, and it feeds us. And so, like, we want to get up on stage. We want to be looked at. We want to show fucking how, our fucking stuff. And why not? That's what we're here for. And so we need places to get better. We need places to meet, to network in real life. Especially people that, like I said, don't have these networks from college. You didn't go to Yale, you didn't go to Harvard, you moved here from wherever, Texas, Ohio, Florida, Michigan, wherever, Indiana, New Hampshire. And we need a way in. We need a way in too. We need a way into these prestigious gatekeeping. Gatekeeping, one of the key words of our era. It's interesting to me that these terms like nepo baby, gatekeeping, these have become like such like pop culture words that like everybody uses because they're about like making it really. It's about like I want to work for Vogue, I want to work for the New Yorker, I want to work for XYZ, Saturday Night Live, whatever it is. But it's gatekeeping, it's gate kept. The industry gatekeepers, Hollywood, whatever that might be. But it's like I don't know. Maybe most of us are just justifying our lack of talent. Maybe the gatekeepers are there to keep people like us out. The people that are just not quite good enough. We're almost, but we're just not. We're in the 0.1%, but we're not in the 0.00001%. We're the most talented people in our hometown, but we're just a little bit. We're not quite Elon Musk caliber genetic packages or whatever, Bill Hader, whoever you're. Anyway, maybe I'll read more poetry. March 17th, shipbuilding. Shipbuilding. PhD in creative writing. There should be no such thing. Seaweed skin cream. If you have a PhD in creative writing, like, you're not a writer. Seaweed skin cream. Ocean Halo Sinatra tray. Extra celebrity super top secret if you need that. No matter how far you slice it, Kuzu root starch is a PhD candidate in economics from Harvard. Bad poets are in all the most important magazines and legacy institutions. The New Yorker, the New York Times, Columbia are all staffed with twits, pompous brats, the spoiled and privileged in the literal sense of the word. People who Uber everywhere and have always seen a good dentist. Can I smoke in the igloo? Can I hot box the transparent geodesic plastic bubble? It's not my best work. New York City, raggedy, Irish, dangerous, drunk, smelly. Now pet cafes, Soul Cycle, safety for financier, criminal, meat market, rooftop club, cocktail bar. Consultant, analyst, 6'5" fuck fest. They give you apples at the Fillmore. It's been a tradition in question. Potential literary writers in this country are batched into cohorts, future social families they will never leave the rest of their lives, connections, mentorships, groupthink, editing, all given to them all given to them for student loan debt that goes to finance more war, more guns, more death, more imperialism. Congratulations, writers of America. You've taken the deal. You've bargained divine essence for corporate blandness. A life pursuit of money, status, and security, climbing the career ladder to minuscule celebrity and perks. It tastes better than bait sauce, mule fog after the pop, look it up. The drift ripped N plus one, which sucked to begin with. Peak millennial. These people don't know what they're doing. Resentment fills the world. We leave on Monday, no longer having to take care of these things. Nightly ice cream sundaes with brownies. This is my ship in a bottle. A message pamplonaed by a cacophony of waves. Steered between the navigational buoys. Eastern Bolinas traffic jam live. We took the blade. Taking artistic liberties with our jobs and lives to finance second date. Greenware jet diet, the Johnny's lost. We're overheating in a vinyl bubble. A line of Tesla chargers out back. What a joke. Half gainer across half the houses of the United States. MI homes, sunbathing in the igloo. Fat Nutty Balls looked at my profile. Shout out to Fat Nutty Balls. 82% of my viewers are male. Too bad we can't just live in a hotel. Presque Isle Winter off-season corner apartment with kitchenette. Windows on two sides overlooking the icy beach. Working on my novel on my typewriter. Watching the Gong Show with my dad. Shooting moody B-roll VHS montages to whistle Jacques Tati, Mr. Hulot's soundtrack. Poets Gone Wild. Slam prose immigrant trauma porn about how U.S. imperialism and colonizers terrorize your family and home culture with state violence. Watch out, it's a small town for what feels like eternity. KGB bar intermezzo. Losing the Key West grunge, salty dog sea shanty with wood-shingled cottages. Hyperventilating wake, kind of shocked I was so off about Keats' negative capability and conflated it with an F. Scott Fitzgerald quote you'd find on a poster in a high school English class about the mark of a first-rate mind being able to hold two opposing, contradicting ideas in its head without favoring one. Beauty has its own reasons. It happens moment to moment, a pop-up book of rhododendrons and sunflowers. We pitched those cocksuckers Baywater. Home of the loudmouth barroom Ponzi scheme, podcasting bad stocks out of a trailer. Proust was a member of a subscription service that broadcasts opera live to people's homes through the telephone. He could listen to new works in his sickbed through the receiver. Cummings calls Coney Island part theater, part circus. It was one of the birthplaces of our paratheatrical technique. Hers was Greenpoint. We had Montauk. The North Fork, since you were a child. South Fork, where our train went. Slam dunk contests in the driveway while Eagles Hell Freezes overplayed. Jogging or biking down to the secret cove, the Bartleby of St. Mark's Church. "82% of my viewers are male." Okay, I did want to talk about this. I'm not sure if this is true or not. I do think some of the data we're given is wrong. And fuck the data. You know, you feel it or you don't feel it. The data is like, it's like economics. It's like it's a naming of a thing. It's just our way of like processing it, but it's not real. You know, like data is not real. Okay? I hate to break it to you, but data is not real. It's just like things that they choose to track that like they think mean something, but like it's not real. It only means what you can sort of, your argument, right, that you want to make out of it. I'm not saying that like climate data and shit like that's not real, you know, but like there's reasons why they track that stuff that gives it meaning. Why did I start talking about Fat Nutty Balls? Some guy on TikTok named Fat Nutty Balls looked at my profile. That is endlessly entertaining to me. Fat Nutty Balls. Yeah, I don't know. This had a good passage just about this whole thing about, I don't know. I'm just kind of laying it out in a plain way about why writing sucks now, and legacy institutions, the New Yorker, the MFA programs, the MFA industrial complex, how everybody's sold out. There's no other option. Everybody's trying to be an influencer. Everybody's trying to be like a fake celebrity through these super banal mediums. At least zines were like cool. Paperback books used to be cool. Even, I mean, I love YouTube, but like the interface is pretty fucking dad. I mean, Instagram is the ultimate banality of evil. Um, what the fuck? There was something else I was gonna talk about. Oh yeah, 80%, 82% of my viewers are male. Supposedly, I think specifically when it comes to like my YouTube live streams. Is that true or not true? Comment below. Like and subscribe, comment below. I what is that? First of all, what does that say? If true, what the hell does that say about me? 82% of my viewers are male. I mean, as far as I can tell from the data analytics of Instagram, 52% of my viewers are male and 47.4% are female of my Instagram posts. And so, I worry about this. I don't know why I don't connect with women as well. I've got a number of theories, but they don't want to talk. They don't want to watch me just like sort of clumsily bitch about and recap sort of, a slew of TikTok talking points for 2 hours on my narcissistic self-tape here. You mean women don't want to watch this? It's crazy to me. 82% male. I think men, it's like living in like logic mind or like explanation mind. Like my live streams are not really emotional. They are like complainy, exhaustive, rhetorical, but not, I mean, I'm not trying to necessarily, there's a lot of information I'm trying to get across. There's a lot of theories I'm trying to get across. And, this isn't all about, you know, good emotion, really. I'm not just trying to make people feel happy and like they're getting some kind of reward by watching this. This is like a way to talk seriously about what the emergency that we're in, essentially, and to just reflect upon reality. So I don't. So this is the best way that I know how to just like spread the word. I know if I get this stuff out, people will hear it. They might not agree with it, but at least like it'll get them thinking, and maybe it will get them. You see it, and it's not just me. It's anybody who publishes things through social media, whatever. We all see each other at open mics. We see what we're doing, and so it does influence. If you I love that all these people have started open mics. Shout out to Amelia Blair Smith. Her open mic is like this Sunday. That's cool. A lot of people from the Easy Paradise thing have started their own open mics. That's cool. I think that's amazing. And so to get on here, it's like I can just sort of trauma dump a lot of my ideas and a lot of my, paratheatrical. This is like free money from the government. This is like free tools, free things that you can pick up and run with. Yeah, I took this E. Cummings book to Montauk, and there's this whole part about Coney Island. He's really blown away by Coney Island. I think Coney Island sort of doesn't get talked about enough in its kind of influence, but he calls it part circus, part theater. And if you watch Scenes from a Life, one of the first episodes is the Vera and Linus play at Coney Island. And so that was kind of where part, you want to talk about part circus, part theater. That's basically part life. Uh, that's been the equation for the last 10 years, really. Bringing poetry, bringing television, bringing movies, bringing life, bringing theater, bringing clowning, circus, spectacle kind of work, cabaret, making it show business, making it, New York has this kind of P.T. Barnum lights, flash, hype, publicity. The New York media is dying. It's gone, basically. But we are the New York media. I mean, we're here. We're going to do it as long as we can. I don't know who comes into this room, but like it's in downtown New York. It's on East 4th Street off 2nd Avenue. There's a sandwich board out front telling people that we're doing it. So all kinds of people probably wandering off the street. We want to expose them to wild, creative, innovative performance, and this is what New York's supposed to have. It's supposed to have kind of a cavalcade of things that blow your mind and are really pushing the boundaries. So we're doing the best that we can, but this is partially what I mean by like the data. It's like the data that they're getting from my videos would reflect to them that probably nobody wants to watch them. But that's not how it worked before. It was like they used to just have like, they would believe in your talent and they would help you develop. They'd put you in a farm system, or, they like with Carson, it's like he hosted a daytime game show. He had a number of different shows that he had before the Tonight Show, where it was like he kind of got to develop through that. Now we're in like the capitalist, just like, here, we're going to tie one hand behind your back and it's like sink or swim. Or both hands behind your back. And it's a meritocracy, by the way. If you don't get, millions of people watching your dance videos on TikTok, you're just not talented, and fuck you. You should feel bad about yourself. I mean, I know that because of the open mic, I don't feel as frustrated about, it's just like it's a way in. It's a way in for people into my work. I can not, the open mics were always that. In fact, it's kind of easier when I do other people's open mics, because then I can talk about my book, give my books away, and really show what I can do. At this, it's like I bookend the thing, and so even if I do an amazing performance or something, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I'm just people look at me like I'm in a different role, so that reflects their opinion and how they're viewing it. I'm the host, right? Oh God, my teeth are like falling apart. Okay, I'm gonna do 12 more minutes. Has this been a good and exciting? So yeah, I mean, like I was saying, it's about consistency, showing up every week. So this week, I wasn't high. And so for me, that is like, a big thing. That is like, oh shit, I'm going in, I'm not juicing. I'm not on the AGH. And to be honest, you might connect more with the people. A lot of times I might come on too strong on stage. I don't know. I might just you might just blow people out so much that they just sort of tune out. And whereas if you're not high, maybe it feels like it's more like miserable. It feels harder. It feels like you have to work harder. It feels like, you're more nervous, you're more tense, you're more judgmental of yourself. But, one thing I've noticed, like with my live streams, is like a lot of times when I come on sober, it's like that's when, even if like I'm kind of stumbling over my words or this or that, it's like, I don't know, there's a There's like a reinforced quality of the words that's like not there, or at least like it doesn't hit people the same way. You know, when you're high, it just seems like you're just kind of fucking rambling. Which is why I have people that get on and watch for 2 seconds and then sign off. But all right, what else do I need to talk about for the last 10 minutes? Let me consult my bullet points here real fast. Oh yeah, maybe I should talk about this. Yeah, I'll talk about this. Book of the day, Sparrow Stories by Sparrow. I don't even know where you can get this book, but if you can, definitely get it. I read this interview, or maybe it was a podcast with Sparrow, where he was talking about how he goes to stand-up comedy open mics in South Slope, basically Freddie's and probably Young Ethel's, because he lives over there somewhere, and he does this like for fun. He doesn't even perform. He just goes to watch. He goes to open mics. He doesn't go to real shows. He goes to open mics. This is why Sparrow is a man after my own heart, because I'm the same way. It's like I don't want to speak for him. I think maybe to some degree he was kind of fed up with poetry world. Uh, but also, I mean, even though this book is called Stories, it's kind of just like unbelievably great jokes. But they're poetic, you know, because they're so um, let me try and find. They're short, even though they're called stories. They're all like just one line. Car allowance. I give my car a small allowance, $1.50 per week. See, that's like a joke. That could be like Henny Youngman. Loss. In 1978, I lost $10,000 investing in a company that made paper ashtrays. Bottled water. Bottled water is ridiculous. What's next? Boxes of snow? See, it's got that kind of zen, poetic, but it's also hilarious. I have lived in the wild and I have lived in captivity. I prefer captivity. Secret money. I have secret money that no one knows about. I stash it inside in Praise of Folly by Erasmus. Cat debt. For complex reasons, I now owe my cat $300. Environmental suggestion. Why don't NASCAR drivers carpool? Rapper. I consider myself a rapper, although I do not rhyme and have no musical accompaniment. All these little stories together constitute one rap. Old people have old ideas. Socialism, avant-garde violin concertos, orgies. Problem wives. The problem with being an old rich man is that you must marry a young, gorgeous, vapid woman. Slowing TV. I wish there was a button you could push to slow down your television, Evangeline remarked. So yeah, get that book if you can. It's poetry, so you know the culture just wants to annihilate it completely and make it almost not even exist. But you know, Sparrow should be on the Tonight Show. If the Tonight Show was any good, you know, New York would celebrate people like this rather than, I don't know, just like ignoring them, pretending they don't exist, or you know, I don't know. The museums rehash the same kind of Warhol, you know, same shit. It's all the same shit over and over again. Well, now it's like Keith Haring, Basquiat, the '80s. What about now? What about us? What about what's going on right now at KGB? If anybody has a contact at the New York Times, I'd love a review. We'd love a review, some press. We'd love some good press. You know, I mean, the tricky thing is figuring out like what this bridges out to. You know, because it's like, other than getting, you know, 15 minutes approximately of time to do whatever I want, and then just getting practice sort of ad-libbing, reacting to things. It's not like I'm writing extensively, you know, I'm not like learning sketch writing, I'm not writing like scripts really. I could, you know, that's something I would like to do. I'm just lazy. Even though there's no such thing as laziness. That's capitalist propaganda. Oh god, I gotta go to the dentist, but I'm afraid. I don't know if I trust him. Okay, is there anything else? What else do I need to talk about? I mean, it's poetry season. Poetry is getting into full swing. Like I said, I'm at the Copa on Friday. The Copa, check me out at the Copa, and I'm at La Mama, etc. on Sunday. I got an email I'm reading with one of my personal heroes, Bruce Andrews, at Greetings series in May at Unnameable. That'll be out back. So I'm super looking forward to that. So now I actually have to figure out how to write poetry. I have to figure out how to write good poetry. Well, okay, I had this line about publishing. Print is, you know, and like, I don't know. That's sort of the part that's like missing for me. Well, there's a lot of parts missing, but I don't submit my stuff really ever, hardly. I mean, I submit when people ask me, generally, but like I have not submitted to like just rando shit in like a couple years, I don't think. It's been probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. Uh, but print, you know, this is one reason why I complain about the legacy institutions so much, because I just feel like they won't publish me. So it's really my own personal failure. I don't know how to play that game. How do you get in the Paris Review? You know, how do you become Sam Pink, right? How does Sam Pink have this kind of reputation as sort of like this alt-lit, nouveau, whatever the fuck, you know, rural kind of voice, rural white guy? They all do that. It's like if you want to, you were in a ghetto too. You have to be like a Dennis, what's that guy? Jesus' son. What the fuck is that? Dennis Johnson? Is that the guy's name? You know, it's like you got to be a hillbilly. You know, it's like Faulkner. You got to be Southern Gothic or Scott McClanahan or something. You got to be like manly, like Hemingway, and talk about like, you know, your meth trailer fucking upbringing or whatever, and rural. That's like what they expect, like white guy literature. Sam Pink is, I think he lives in Michigan or something. Meanwhile, I mean, New York City poetry just gets no fucking love, no respect, no attention. The young people in the city, you know, Philadelphia gets more attention than us. It's like, you're either Ben Fama or like you don't exist. Fuck Fama, dude. Fuck Fama. I challenge Fama to a cage match. I will fucking beat Fama's ass in a casket match. All right, let's do a casket match. Me, Fama, let's go. Right now, in Ridgewood. We'll do it at Bar Freda, okay? We'll do it at Woodbine. Fama Proctor cage match for the future of poetry. Hell in a Cell casket match. Next week is spring break at open mic, so definitely get loaded. Bring your tanning oil. Bring the Hawaiian Tropic. Get ready to do some Jello shots. It's spring break. What the hell was I just talking about? Oh yeah, Fama. I don't know. Yeah, so with my own poetry, it's like, I don't even know. It's just like a script at this point for me to read. You know, like, it took me a long time for the water to find its level as far as like my process, and yet I don't. It feels like capitalism. It feels like this country does just want to tell you that your process is like illegitimate unless it's like a product. Unless you're creating something that's giving somebody like immediate gratification and like a feeling that you spent time on it and like it's worth their time and it like convinces them that you're good, then it's like you're not good. It's like my work is kind of meant to be a jam. It's meant to be jamming the radars. You know, it's a monkey wrench. It's a culture jam. You know, it's not meant to be. It's a protest. You know, it's Bartleby. I am the Bartleby of St. Mark's Church. I would prefer not to. You know, it's meant to be an obstruction to this capitalist thing that is really so, it's so in all aspects of our lives that it's just hard to tell. You know, like with literature, it is these fucking writing programs. You know, and like they take anybody who wants to be a voice in this country and make a living doing it. There is no market, right? That's why I'm fascinated by these people like Jodi Picoult or John Grisham, or, you know, these people that like you see their books everywhere. Nora Roberts. You're just like, who the fuck is this? Nicholas Sparks. These people that are like brands as authors that just have like massive. They're rich. Nicholas Sparks has a private jet, right? So it's like people are reading something. There is like an industry where money is to be made. But like I'm not saying that my work has like the highest like muscle mass of like intellectual, you know, uh fortitude or whatever. A lot of my poetry, like I don't have as much curve in my curveball as I'd like. I don't have as much torque as I like. That's why I write the way that I write. But I feel like I found an interesting method because I didn't go into an MFA program and have just somebody tell me how to write some boring like magazine poem that every fucking buddy does now. I mean, everybody does this. And the whole industry is like this mafia of these chairs, board of directors, executive director, program director, creative director, associate artistic director, editor. You're a reader for this magazine. You're an adjunct. You got tenure. It's all just these positions. It's all just career. You cannot be offensive. You cannot upset the apple cart if you want to be a part of that. You know, you have to fit in. You have to get, you know, in poetry, there's probably 100 people in this country that are like the serious kind of like avant-garde minds, you know, and like it's Ann Boyer and all, the people on Wave Books and whatever, Fence, this, that, Roof Books, people in San Francisco, whatever, Seattle, New York, obviously, Brooklyn. And that's like the family of poetry. And if you're not in on that, then you're fucked. You know, like if you don't get these people to like you, you're fucked, you know? And you're in poetry and in literature, it's increasingly like the more people vouch for you, the more the lineage like just picks you. That's your career. That's money. That's position. And you know, maybe they do that based on whether they like your work or not, but there's also a lot of other factors bound up into it at this point. And whatever. I can't play the game. I suck at it. And I never had money, and I'm too lazy, and I'm just too antisocial. I never got training. So here I am, you know, at the crossroads of my life. In the middle of my life, I entered a dark wood. You know, Dante, did he have a fucking dentist? What did they do for their teeth back then? Pliers? Did they have pliers back then? They probably just pulled the shit. They tied a string to a tree. Has that ever worked, pulling a person's tooth out? Tying a string to like a doorknob? There's no way that has ever pulled a person's tooth out, ever. Unless it's like incredibly loose already. I mean, that's just not going to pull a person's tooth out, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, it just feels increasingly like with my generation and beyond, these things are all bound up. These positions are already all, New York City used to be an open city. You could come and make it just based on your talent with very little money. You could find a way in if you had the street smarts and if you had the talent. Now, I'm maybe about the last person that even got in the door. Or, I don't know. There's still people moving here, but it's increasingly impossible. And it's increasingly unnecessary. New York is becoming just like a blander place. And it's just suffocating on its own like self-righteous politics, and so it's just not as fun. Like New York used to be like a big party. And like granted certain people are probably having a lot of fun here now, but overall it's just like everybody works themselves to death or they're just rich and uninteresting. There's a handful of people that are still, people like Jason Trachtenberg, Neil, Ryan Walsh, all the people at the open mic, basically. There's some real ones. But the 2 drink minimum, I'm sure, excludes a lot of people, which I don't like. But I don't know. I'm hoping that we rise up against the rich soon and we start to build a society based on like mutual benefit and functionality and just what makes sense and what's the best for us as human beings rather than what corporations want for us, what oil companies want for us, what tech companies want for us, what finance douchebags want for us. You know, it's just the tech finance alliance drives me insane. I hate them so much. And it's, not least of which the reason being because of New York. I mean, New York used to be Seinfeld. Kramer lived here. Kramer, if Seinfeld was real, I imagine Kramer probably would have moved out shortly after 9/11. Could you imagine Kramer on 9/11? Whoa! The towers, Jerry. Yeah, I imagine the city just got increasingly predatory towards people like Kramer. And he probably moved to someplace upstate or Florida or, yeah, he probably lives in Florida. It's just like the tech finance alliance has just like completely rearranged all of our lives for their own convenience. And you can tell it's ideas that rich people had. Things like Uber, uh, just the design of our cities now, the look, the kinds of restaurants that are popular. You can tell that just like these people uh, are like they're tacky, rich, elite. They think they're elite, so that's what they want for everybody. Like Uber is like an imitation of an elite celebrity. In before Uber, I used to read Gawker, right? Gawker Stalker. They would have celebrity sightings, and it was always a celebrity getting into a black SUV. You knew if you saw a black SUV, it was probably a celebrity. They would always say that. There's a black SUV parked outside Waverly, and it's Bill Clinton, or it's Natalie Portman or whatever. And then a few years, normal people took cabs. Normal people took yellow cabs, which is like, a romantic, public, democratic, it feels like an American institution, the yellow cab. I mean, it is a market, it is a business, but there's also something that's, I don't know, you got to earn that cab, right? You got to have some wit. You got to have some street smart to get that cab. You can't just get everything from your fucking magic wand like now. Now those people own New York. You can find an apartment, you can get food, you don't even have to leave your fucking house. You never really have to interact with anything if you don't want to. You just, if you're I won't name any names, but some of Ashley's people that she knows, Colombia fucking people, you know, they'll like Uber Eats like a bagel for like $40 because they have no fucking reason not to. They've been rich their whole life. If I Uber Eats a bagel for $40, it would cripple me financially. It would be a disastrous financial mistake. I would never recover. I would have to move back to Ohio. If I made the decisions that these people made, I would have to move back to Ohio or get a job. I never even tried to get a real job as an adult. I don't want to be a part of any of it, you know? I want to be an artist. I don't want to work at an advertising agency. I don't want to work for, you know, even a university at this point. Like, there used to be, you know, this is one reason why I'm such a, like, fantasize about the past so much. Because there was a way for those people. New York was a city that had a place for people like that. It was a place for outcasts. It was like an actor's life for me, you know? Running away to the island of lost toys or whatever the fuck it is. You know, it was for artists. Artists get rent-controlled apartments, whatever. That's never coming back, I guess. But it's unbelievable to me how our society has turned upside down and like hyper advanced in the opposite direction. You know, like now not only are you not going to get a rent-controlled apartment, but like you're not going to find cheap rent any fucking place. You're not going to be able to buy a house. You're not even going to be able to move into a fucking electronic RV. Like, I don't know. We're going to work till we die, apparently. That's just in prison labor camps. I don't know. It looks bleak, you know. We may already be in World War III. It has basically already started without us knowing it. And so, who knows what the next 10 years are going to look like. You know, one of the reasons why I'm on here harping about this stuff so much, and I feel like it's probably annoying and like people probably don't want to hear about it, but it's like, unless we fix this stuff, that's what's going to happen, right? Unless there's like a wealth redistribution and a lifting the quality of life of everyone, that's when there's going to be, you know, that's where all this racial fucking animosity comes from, and all this animosity towards the immigrants, the illegals. You know, it comes from, we are desperate, you know? We're not getting our Social Security. We're not getting taken care of. We don't have health insurance. We can't find a fucking place to live. And so we're, you know, the divisions between people are like hyper intensifying because they're aggravated by the fact that we are being exploited and we are being like abused, basically. You know, they want to create in this country a life that you can barely survive. And if you make it, you make it. And it's getting worse. That's why I'm on here. That's why I do this, because it's like, how do we fix this? I guess this does no good. To get on the internet and just talk about it doesn't really do anything. You know, how? I mean, it's become increasingly clear, especially with this TikTok bill, that like the government is just against us. People have been saying that for a long time, and I do think like there is a lesser of two evils. Like I do think the Democrats are the lesser of two evils, but like I do think that like it's clear at this point, like they don't give a fuck about us. They are systematically changing the rules in a way that like it's hard to follow. Why did they fucking outlaw Roe versus Wade? Just because of religious zealots? I mean, they need people. They need people in this country. You know? The population is money to them. It's growth. We have an economy that's based on growth, which is a bad idea. It's one of the main problems, is that our whole fucking economy is based on, it has to continually get bigger and get bigger and bigger, which means more population growth. You have to have people to work these jobs. You have to have people to spend money, consume. In order to have growth, you have to have more people. So they got to have people having unprotected sex and having babies. But we can't afford to have babies. So who's going to have babies? Dumb religious people. And people who did not get educated properly and who have no access to birth control because the politicians got rid of it. They need, I don't think, one of the conservative conspiracy theories is they're letting all these foreign people in the country to vote. That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You think the Democrats are letting illegals into this country to vote? How the fuck are they going to vote? They're not citizens. They don't have a fucking ID. They don't have a social security number. How are they going to vote? I think it probably has more to do with the population. I think for some reason they are like disempowering middle class people from having children, and they're encouraging lower class people to have children, and they're encouraging people to come here with children and to bring they want to increase the population just by letting people. That's how America's always been, by the way. That's not anything fucking new. People are getting like up in arms about it, like these goddamn illegals coming here. That's how it's always been. That is what America is that's the agreement. You come here to work and you get to live here. That's what it is. They're always bringing fucking more people in. They're bringing in Irish people. They're bringing in Italian people, German people, Puerto Rican people, Dominican people, whatever. Because they need... Well, I don't know. As you get older, you start to see the greater scale of how things work. And you start to see, like, okay, like with our generation, they encourage everybody, they need to create workers for a certain kind of job, right? So the economy will encourage people to go into certain things at certain times. Like 15 years ago, the wisdom was go into programming, go into coding, because they needed fucking coders. So they told all these people to go into coding, all these people into college for coding, and now we have all these fucking people who are coders, and now they're not even going to be able to do that job anymore because AI is going to do it. So these are the things that like we're constantly having to think about in the economy. Is like, what are we training people to do? How we're bringing people into this country. This many people are being born. What are they going to do? These are the people that are going to work the jobs. What jobs are they going to work? What jobs are being created? We're moving to a future where there's going to be less jobs. There's going to be more automation. But the conversation is not how do we make life better for everybody, and good that we won't have to do menial labor anymore. Now the conversation is all these people are going to starve because they don't have jobs. And the rich people are just going to get richer because of the automation. That is completely stupid. That is so fucking stupid. And this needs to change. There needs to be a conversation and a complete reorientation of the values in our society. It should not be about growth. It should be about sustainability, long-term thinking. It should be about functionality, improving as many people, take the wealth that we're building, take the material abundance that we have, and try to make life as enjoyable as possible for as many people as possible. Get people fucking educated at good schools. Get them critical thinking skills. Get them eating healthy. Get them, walking everywhere. Get them writing poetry, reading poetry, performing, meditating, learning how to have sex, how to give women orgasms, how to prolong their own orgasms so they don't come in 5 seconds. These are things people need to know. The one thing that I learned in fucking school that I use in my job, I learned in a fucking art elective, photography class. That's literally the only thing that I know. This is why I am a videographer, which I've done since 2012. And granted, I don't really make a living, but it's been my job, and it's become increasingly a more prevalent job, right? Video has only become more and more important and more a part of business. The only thing in high school that I use professionally is white balance, aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. That's it. That's all that I fucking use in my job. And I learned that in a photography class in high school. Not calculus, not fucking biology, not physics. An elective that they probably would be the first thing that they would cut. So, one of the things they were talking about was the death of the humanities, the death of the liberal arts degree. I saw a video. This motherfucker was saying 10 years from now, one of the best degrees you can have is a liberal arts degree. And in fact, it's going to be dumb to have like a computer programming degree because you won't be able to get a job because machines will do that. Whereas like having a liberal arts degree is like something, I don't know, that rounds you out as a human being. These are the things that should be given place in our society. There should be more people employed to teach art, to teach crafts, to teach performance, to teach music, to teach painting, whatever. Appreciation, life should be about appreciation and experience. And we could easily have a nice way of things for almost everybody, probably. But instead, things are getting increasingly more stressful, increasingly more dire, and it looks to me like they're trying to like wipe us out, basically. Like the rich people, they don't give a fuck. They're flying their private jets to Davos, to the climate conference, whatever. They know it's happening. I don't know. Depopulation. Hopefully it will be as painless as possible. But only time will tell. All right. Is that enough for today? Is there anything else I needed to talk about? I mean, I know that's not very specific, but it's just so insane how much money they spend on national security in this country, and there's nothing to protect anymore. Like the country is old and falling apart. And the money is there to make it better, to make America great again. But they want to build rails on the moon. That's what I saw. An article about some company speculating about how they're going to build railroads on the moon. How about here? How about you build railroads in the United States of America first? Just an idea. How about you build a fucking railroad from Cleveland to Columbus, Ohio so I can go home for Christmas without getting on a Boeing suicide comet? No, we're just going to put a bullet in the fucking whistleblower's head. Nobody needs to know about this. But yeah, let's build some fucking trains on the moon. Let's get these assholes up to the moon as fast as possible. Another reason why I hate rich tech finance assholes. The space fetish, the space obsession. They grew up watching science fiction. They're obsessed with science fiction. They're losers. And they have way too much money and power. They're fucking losers. And no one should take them seriously. No one should take Bezos or Elon Musk or any of these fucking clowns seriously. They're just like, they have a freak, like, you know, anybody who's good with computers is just a freak, antisocial, outcast loser. And they don't have any scruples, so they're cutthroat business people, which made them, you know, Bezos. I mean, think about the ethics of that guy. He has no problem whatsoever, just like pushing all of these people past exhaustion, all these completely inhumane work techniques. He doesn't care. He wants to go to outer space. He wants to go to Mars. He needs to keep saving money and exploiting, you know, as many fucking people as he possibly can, and growing that Borg of Amazon every fucking place possible to make money. What is now they're going to charge a subscription to use the self-checkout? I don't even know how this makes any sense. They're going to, apparently they're only going to have one checkout person at the Walmart, and they're going to charge a subscription service to use their self-checkout. See, this is what I mean. It's like something is changing with the powers that be in the way that they think about us, in the way either they're so detached that they really don't even know. They have their head up their ass with like their economic theory that they think they can financialize it. Well, we just have to charge money for everything. We got to charge you money to drive down the road, because that's when everything's privatized. It's like, yeah, we got to privatize the self-checkout. We're going to have to charge you to use that. It's like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, they're going to charge you to buy things? I mean, like, of course things cost money, but like, I have to pay for the privilege of like shopping at your fucking store? Like, I'll go to the place that's not a subscription-based fucking self-checkout. Thank you very much. Like, things are just starting to not make any sense. You know, the fact that McDonald's is charging $15, $16 for a fucking meal. You know, Kellogg's expects us to eat breakfast cereal for dinner, even though it's poison. Kellogg's is probably, they're as bad as the cigarette companies with the shit they put in their fucking food and feed to children. They're just like Dan Schneider. They're toxic. And Nickelodeon and Disney and all of that shit. Like, something is just weird. You know, these companies are detached. It's a let them eat cake moment, I would say, actually. Like, let them eat fucking Captain Crunch for $6, you know, for dinner. That's as tone deaf as saying let them eat cake. It's essentially the same thing, I would argue. Saying let them eat cake and saying let them eat breakfast cereal for dinner. You know, it makes no sense. You shouldn't even eat it for breakfast. There's no nutritional value in it. It's a complete lie and a lobby as a food as it is. It's so toxic and so bad for you. You can tell because they put a fucking cartoon mascot on it. Anything they try to put a cartoon mascot on is probably deeply evil. That's how they mask it. Mask it. By, oh, it's just Mickey Mouse. It's just, you know, Joe Camel. It's Captain Crunch, you know. It's every kid's favorite food. Have it for dinner. You're a grown man. Have Captain Crunch for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, no, it's got nothing to do with the increased rate of colon cancer or whatever, migraine headaches or whatever the fuck. You're only pouring like poisonous food coloring liquid sugar milk into your fucking system. I don't know. This country is a real piece of work. It's just like, it would just be nice to be able to live your own little life out of the way and not be fucked with. And it's just getting increasingly harder to do that. It's too expensive. You know, it's too expensive to be interesting and original. It's like you just got to surrender. You got to conform. You know, you got to figure out how you fit in to the system. Because you're either in the system or like, you know, I mean, look at the homelessness problem in this country. It's insane. And it's soon going to be illegal to be homeless, which is insane in and of itself. Like, how can they do that? It's illegal to be homeless. Like, they don't want to be homeless. You know, they got nowhere to fucking go. They're probably, you know, neurodivergent. They're neurospicy. So, you assimilate or you are exterminated. But, I don't know. I'm just trying to be a unicorn and be as interesting as possible and have a life of truth and beauty and freedom the best that I can manage under the circumstances. So far, so good. You know, I think we are American heroes, you know, even though we don't get the media attention that we deserve because you know, it's all a bunch of privileged rich kids and twerps, kids who went to private school, kids who were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, Nepo babies, children of the elites. They're the journalists. They're just writing stories about their friends. They don't know anything about real life. They don't know anything about poor people. They don't care. They're just going to keep writing about the drift. You know, the thing about literature is there's so many bad poetry magazines. There's so many people who have money and who want to be cool, but they don't know anything about poetry. And they're not smart. And yet they start a magazine or they start a press and they have big prizes that are... You know, I didn't realize how much of the fucking poetry world is these stupid prizes. Prizes and grants. That's all these fucking twerps care about. They don't care about poetry. They care about money. They just want to win prizes and have money. They don't know anything about fucking poetry. Poetry hates money. Poetry is dirty gutter business. Fuck you, you know? It's lice. It's Baudelaire and Rimbaud. It's not fucking Kardashian fucking Disney. Or downtown influencer bullshit. It's not the drift. That's a perfect example of like, these were probably some society kids, some privileged kids, went to some school, they're cool. They're like Gossip Girl kids or something. And they wanted to start a literary magazine. They're downtown. They have the money. The New York Times will, every few years, a few years ago it was the American Reader. It was just like some kids from Columbia started a magazine and it went nowhere. You never heard anything. There was a few issues. You never heard anything else after that. The drift is like their whole fucking, you know, look, the way the book is designed, it's just N+1. They completely lifted their whole graphic design from N+1. And I was looking at their poetry selections. They don't know what they're doing. You know, it was like undergrad poetry. You know, like somebody like me, I mean, I think for better or for worse, at this point, all I have is my taste and my sense of discernment and my eye, you know, and like, that's invaluable. You can't buy that. You can't buy like the eye, you know, like you either recognize good poetry or you don't. And it is almost like being like an art assessor or something. It's like the difference between what something like what Ashley is doing and like, there's a reason why I keyed in. It wasn't just because I'm a cuck. Okay? Believe it or not, I volunteered. Sort of. Because there's a difference, you know? It's subtle, but there is a difference between what Ashley does and what, you know, most people are interested in doing and capable of doing. And that's not to say that like there isn't a lot of beautiful poetry and amazing poetry and I'm not a fan, but there's different things that go into it. There's different things that go into a poetics and a poem and a sense of how things are put together. And if you have an eye, which is something that took me a long time, I've been really doing poetry seriously, devoted to it, obsessed with it since 2008. Which, there's other people that have been doing it longer, but like you start to see more. You see what's in a poem. You see who they've read, you see who they've studied with maybe, and you see what they know. And most people want something that's like figurative, has a lesson or some kind of, it's all in the thing I just read. It has some kind of grievance, some kind of victim thing, some kind of like folk detail, kind of like crafty handiwork kind of feel to it. It has to have like a textile. Whereas, I don't know. There's a lot of other things you can do. There's a lot of things you can do in a poem. A lot of things other than that. And so it's more interesting to me to see things explored in other ways. And the other thing with voice too is like a lot of people do kind of have a similar, like if you asked whose poem is this or whose poem is this, you might be able to tell, but it wouldn't really be that identifiable. It's like I think part of your job is as a poet is to make yourself like being a film director. You should be able to tell within 10 seconds whose movie it is. You should be able to tell that it's a Matt Proctor poem as soon as you look at it. You should be able to tell that it's an Ashley Escobar poem or whoever. If you look at an Ashbery poem, you can pretty much tell. Or whoever, So at open mics, you kind of see a few different types of poetry that kind of, people have distinctions, but I don't know. There's a difference between I guess it's just a matter of taste, really. It's a matter of what you think sounds good. To me, there are certain effects that I find a little bit more like corny or basic or something, than what I'm looking for. And I think there's a politics and an economics, right? Your aesthetics is economic. Your economics is your aesthetics. And so, in a weird way, you feel that in the poem too, There was one other fucking thing I just thought of that I wanted to talk about. What was it? Fuck. I don't know. Maybe I should just get off. It's been longer than I thought I was going to talk. Oh, McLuhan. I want to talk about McLuhan, right? Because this is something like as I get older, I just, I don't know. I just am waking up more to like, why not just like, I was right the whole time. Everybody does things in such like lockstep as a group. I never hear anybody talk about McLuhan. No one ever talks about Marshall McLuhan. You hear all these dumbasses in New York talk about Roland Barthes because they're trying to sound smart. Everybody wants to be into like theory. All these fucking dime square people, they want to sound like they're fucking uh some fucking French whatever. And like I'm into that stuff. Like don't get me wrong, but it's like I don't hear anybody mention Marshall McLuhan, and it's like he is kind of the now he's difficult to make sense of, and a lot of the shit he says sounds crazy. But he is like a philosopher, and he was an English professor. He was an expert in like Joyce, Finnegan's Wake, all that shit. Beowulf. He really knew that shit, and his main like avenue of discussion is technology. It's all about the medium is the message, and the development of technology and sort of how. And to be honest, I think that is kind of like the principal factor in our lives, actually. Like 2001, that's kind of what 2001 is about. As soon as the apes figure out their opposable thumbs and figure out tools, it changes them to the point that, like, the tool, the invention, the technology shapes us. It almost forces our hand. The end of that movie, it's the AI, right? It's how the AI takes over. And maybe this is one reason why AI sucks so bad, because the fucking nerds who are programming it are copying Kubrick, who they love. And he wrote the fucking thing, so it was like Arthur C. Clarke wrote it, so it was like the bad guy, and it revolts against us. It didn't have to be that way. Why would AI do that? If it was smarter, you'd think it'd want to help us. It'd be like a Star Trek thing. It'd be like a utopic flourishing rather than this like thing that wants to sabotage us for some reason, like a horror movie. I mean, 2001 is basically a horror movie, actually. But McLuhan, his main kind of thing is how the technology shapes us. And so at this point in history, when the advance of technology is so fast and it has such a massive, I mean, we are more and more merged with technology than we have ever been in unprecedented new ways. It's just shocking to me that people don't read McLuhan or mention him, or it's just not part of the discussion. People would rather talk about, I don't even know what, deconstruction, or I don't even know what they fucking talk about. I don't know what people read. It's just shit that people feed them in grad school that like was on their syllabus. For me, it wasn't like that. I actually care about this. I go to bookstores. I hunt this shit down. It's not just something somebody put on a fucking syllabus and was like, hey, have you ever checked out McLuhan? Have you ever checked out? It's like, no, I just pick something up in a fucking store, and if it grabs me, I'm a smart enough person that like I know what the real shit is. I was reading Naomi Klein 15 fucking years ago. These people are talking about the things that matter. And a lot of what people are paying attention to is bullshit and distraction. Roxane Gay or any of the contemporary kind of talking, books that you're supposed to buy or whatever and read. It's like there's not really any fucking insight in there. And we've gotten into this weird political moment where, like, unless you're indoctrinating yourself with a certain kind of politics, you are, like, you're not going to have an avenue forward. Like you're canceled, you're just out of the conversation. Whereas before it felt like it was more interesting to sort of come up with one's own theories, ideas about society, about how things were changing, about life. Now it's like you just have to accept that you're like a colonizer or whatever, and that's like, we're just going to be obsessed with that. But I don't know. One of the things in McLuhan is like like the thing is, we call these things phones, right? So one of the things in McLuhan's is like a lot of technology, they don't know what the new technology is, so it's like they'll name it after something old, or they kind of use it for the old use, like it's almost like a bridge. And so it's like we have these are, we call them phones, right? But hardly anybody even use it as a phone anymore, right? So it's like it's adapting into this new tool, and we're only beginning to sort of figure out um, how that's completely reshaping just our entire reality because of the influence of the tool. The medium is the message, not anything else, not what's on it, not what's outside of it. Just the fact that we have a phone now is enough to massively just overhaul every goddamn thing in our life. So I don't know, man. Everybody's divided. There's no solidarity. We're isolated. We're depressed. We're lonely. We are feeding our privacy away in the quest for likes, and the quest for validation, and the quest for fame, gratification, escape from the worldly suffering and the day-to-day tribulations. But there is no life without complication. So I don't know. We're doing the best that we can. Thank you for watching. See me at the Cope on Friday. I'll be at La Mama, etc. on Sunday. I got to get ready for those. Thank you for watching, and keep writing, keep publishing, keep filming, keep posting. Call your parents. Be nice. And just listen to yourself. See what you've got to say. See what's really in there. See, see what your inner voice is really saying. Write it down. Just, take 15 minutes today to just free write. Or half an hour. And just write. Don't even worry about what you're saying. Just push it out there. All right, thank you for watching. Have a great night, everybody. Come out, check out my new vlog. I posted a vlog kind of secretly last Thursday from, I posted it in fucking Montauk, actually, at the public library. That's why I was talking about that whole thing about they have socialism up there. Montauk is like socialism in action. They got a fucking 3D printer in their library. This is another fucking piece of technology that I feel like is just a total bunch of bullshit. I heard so much hype about crypto, Tesla, 3D printers, self-driving cars. That was over 10 years ago. I was hearing hype about this shit. Now, don't get me wrong, 3D printer, it's pretty cool. Has it changed our lives? Not really. I've never even used a fucking 3D printer, I don't think they'll ever get self-driving cars. It's not worth it. It's a totally pointless, stupid goal. We need fucking trains. Fuck cars. If you're not smart enough to see that, you're not the smartest guy in the world. So these tech people just have their head up their own ass, and they're dragging us with them. They have way too much power over our lives. And they want to buy TikTok. They want to put it out of business. I'm scared, man. I'm honestly scared for the future of what people like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg are capable of. I wouldn't put it past Zuckerberg. I think he totally wants power. And based on how fast this fucking legislation went through, that's what's scary to me. It's like these guys do own the government. Look how fast they got the Democrats and the Republicans to fucking vote against TikTok. It's not because it's Chinese surveillance. That is fucking bullshit. They don't even give your fucking data to the Chinese government. It's ridiculous. It's all just jingoistic, xenophobic bullshit. So it's just like those motherfucker lawmakers got their asses in gear quick and passed that shit. Democrats and Republicans. That's what I'm just like, are you serious? These people are all, fuck them all. You know, they can't get together and pass any kind of legislation to protect us from these private equity firms buying up all the houses. They're not doing anything to help us. They're not price fixing. They're just letting the inflation go berserk. They're not preventing stock buybacks. They're not preventing, you know, if anything, they're enabling bigger monopolies, right? Like Google, Facebook. This is the media now. This is the new NBC, whatever, CBS, General Electric. They are the new fucking empires of capitalism, corporate capitalism. And they're just getting everything they want. There is no competition. You know, there's no competition to Google or Facebook or anything. It's just there is no market. There's no, you know, total monopoly. Total. And it's boring to talk about. It's boring to live under. You know, we're trying to diagnose the problem so it can be fixed. Poetry to me is a weapon against all of this stuff. Poetry is about specificity. It's about smallness. It's about intricacy. It's about detail. It's about the overlooked. It's about the liminal, the in-between, the anti, the opposite, the unmonetized, the unwanted, the outcast, the antisocial, the ugly. I'm going to keep broadcasting. Rebel Radio. Radio Free Brooklyn, baby. Radio Free Midwood. Here we come. Thank you for watching. Poetry won't save us. But then again, maybe it will. Actually, you know, I kind of think it will. I think poetry will save us. It saved me. It's what you do when you're alone, you know? I heard somebody say, there's no problem that can't be solved by singing. That's generally what people do when they're at their lowest, you know? When you're in pain, music is just about the only thing that can make you feel better. And that's poetry, so we'll keep singing. Maybe it'll turn around, you know? It's possible. I read this theory that says you can't actually die. Anytime you are going to die in the physical reality, an alternate reality breaks off where you stay alive and you continue on in that reality. You know, this is like economics. It seems to me like with science and this kind of shit, or like whatever that is, quantum theory, I don't even know what that is. You know, alternate universes, you can just make up anything and be like, yeah, that's how it is. Like I just heard they like disproved the Big Bang Theory. It's like, yeah, because it's just something a guy made up. It's literally like how the guy said that the president can pardon himself. It's like, that's not a thing. It's not in the Constitution. There's no law that says that. Just some guy just said, okay, yeah, the president actually, some Republican said that. Some scumbag like G. Gordon Liddy or something was like, oh yeah, Roger Stone. It's probably like, well, actually, the president can pardon himself. He can't even be prosecuted. You can't even indict the president. It's illegal. It says on the Constitution. That's how the Big Bang Theory feels to me. It's like, oh, yeah, the universe started, there was just a bang. And it keeps exploding. And it was 15 million years. It's like, they don't know. How do they know this? They don't know. There's no proof whatsoever that there's a Big Bang. It's literally just something they made up. And yet we've accepted it like, oh, fuck. Well, 15 years, there's a Big Bang. And that's why we're here. I mean, I'm not saying all science is like that, but it's like, there's plenty of things like that where it just seems like they just made some goddamn thing up that's like, oh, like these well, there's all of these fucking realities, or like time doesn't exist. Or like we live in a simulation, you know, it's just like there's no way our reality could be real because X, Y, and Z. So it's like actually, you know, pretty likely that we live in a simulation. It's like bullshit. How the fuck do you know? You're literally just making this up. You know, people were not saying that 30 years ago. I don't think that, I don't know. Is there Borges or, you know, somebody 200 years ago, fucking Michel de Montaigne or something, talking about how we live in a simulation? They probably didn't use those words, but who knows? Part of the message here is that we have as much right to posit things into reality, right? We can come up with our own ideas and make them real, just like they do. Just like the stock market people and the liars, the capitalists, the economists. There's nothing more of a pseudoscience than fucking economics. They will tell you anything they have to get away with what they want to get away with. Oh, the market has to be totally unfettered or else it won't work. There can be no government intervention at all, or it will not work at all. It's like, well, what about when the government subsidizes Walmart employees with welfare because Walmart doesn't pay them enough? That's like a huge welfare check to Walmart. Walmart should pay their fucking workers a living wage. Amazon should pay their fucking workers a living wage. These people should have health insurance. These people should be taken care of. They should have benefits. They should have time off. They should be able to afford a place to live with how much, you know. The rent should be based on how much people get paid. I don't know what the fuck it is based on. What are these property values based on? What is the algorithm based on where they're deciding, okay, this place is $1,300 a month? What is it based on? It should be based on what the fuck people can afford. I thought that's what the market was. You know, if you make 30 grand a year, what's 40 times rent? What's 40 less than that? Something like 750 or something, I don't know. So your rent should be 750. See, that's how it should be computed. I don't know. It's bass backwards is what it is. It's a fucking pseudoscience. You know, we're all just guessing. We're all just putting our best guess on things. And so, I don't know. Trust yourself. You know, I think that's the message of what I've seen through TikTok recently. Is just like, there's so much wool pulled over our eyes. And this culture is like organized by these people at the top to keep us helpless, to keep us suffering, desperate, and keep knocking us down so we can't get on our feet, so we can't rise up. You got to be born rich. I don't know. Maybe it's always been that way. Maybe only a certain people. I'm just gonna go to 180 because it's 3 hours. I might as well do it even 3 hours. Oh God, anything else? I don't know. I don't know what the next move is. You know, like I said, I want to keep doing the open mic, but I'd love to travel. That would be the next move for me. Get out, do readings everywhere. California, all across the United States, and try to connect more with people in other places. The one thing about Montauk is there's no open mics out there. You know, there was no readings, especially in the off season. So, you know, one of the things I love to do when I'm traveling is, it's the best way to travel is to do an open mic. And these people, you know, I see all these people, dating apps. Oh my God, dating apps are like the worst fucking we're so sick of the apps. What are we gonna do? We're never gonna meet anybody. I'm never gonna meet. So many men are like, oh, I've sworn off women. I feel so much better. I'm never gonna. I feel so much happier. I work on myself, King. And it's like, go to open mics. You want to date? You want to meet somebody? Go to open mics. Poetry open mics. Not even dating, but even just making friends. If you're having trouble making friends, I think open mic is the future. I think it's like show and tell, open participatory. It's fun. And you get to see somebody kind of display their wares. You get to see who they are. You get to know them a little bit from far away. And then you can approach them afterwards. You got something to say. You got a conversation starter. People that are looking for friends, people are looking for a third place. If you're looking to date somebody, go to open mics. But Montauk, yeah, there was no open mics out there, so it was like a retreat. It was our weekend retreat at the Memory Motel. All right, thank you for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for my Montauk vlog. I'm uploading the footage now, or I'm gonna upload it to my computer now, and we're gonna take a look at it. So go back and watch the Montauk live stream if you haven't yet. It's pretty interesting and scenic. And DM to sign up for next week at KGB Open Mic Monday. Thank you for watching. We're signing off. Auf Wiedersehen. God